Chapter 2020 Welcome. Hearing what the old woman said, Yang Kai nodded and said, "This is the best." Although his attitude towards Dao Yuanguo is dispensable, it is not the case for other Void King realm fighters. Once the news spreads, I am afraid that it will really attract countless Void King realm fighters to chase and block him. It is very likely to cause the powerhouse of Daoyuan to take action. Although the Daoyuan fruit is useless to the Daoyuan realm powerhouse, which Daoyuan realm powerhouse does not have his own juniors and heirs. The old woman said again, "Little brother, if you don't give up, you might as well stay in my Zhang's house for a few days, so that the old man can fully enjoy the friendship of a landlord." Yang Kai frowned and thought for a while, feeling that it might be a little inappropriate for him to leave now. Although I have no friendship with this Zhang family, after all, I have some agreements with Zhang Gaoshuan. Now that the Zhang family is facing a crisis, if I go away, if that Liu Baichuan leads someone to kill him again, I am afraid that this family will not be able to resist. It's better to take advantage of the present and let them make a request, so as to heal one of my worries. Just as he was thinking this way, a strange sound suddenly came from his ear. What's the sound? The beautiful woman's expression changed, and she listened carefully. Yang Kai smiled and said, "It seems to be the sound of beating gongs and drums." The beautiful woman was taken aback, with a dazed expression on her face. But the old woman seemed to have thought of something. She stood up, and shouted angrily in a deep voice, "Liu Baichuan, you little bastard, is too bullying." Although Liu Baichuan's cultivation was higher than hers, but the old woman's seniority was a generation older than Liu Baichuan's, so there was nothing wrong with scolding him like that. The beautiful woman's complexion changed. Could it be that old thief? The old woman glanced at the young girl who had been standing by her side, serving her wholeheartedly, patted the back of her hand lightly, and said, "Don't be afraid, great-grandmother is here. The Liu family wants to rob you, great-grandmother won't." Yes. That girl is also well behaved. Although she vaguely knew what happened, she didn't look too flustered, but shook her head, and said in a low voice, "Great-grandmother, if Ruoxi can avert disaster for the family, then let Ruoxi go." "What nonsense are you talking about?" The old woman snorted coldly, and slammed her crutches heavily. "Your grandfather, your father and brother all died at the hands of the Liu family. The Liu family and my Zhang family have a bitter hatred, so how could great-grandmother kill you? Push it into the fire pit. Don't worry, great-grandmother will keep you safe today." After they chatted like this, Yang Kai immediately understood that the girl who had been serving the old woman was the Zhang Ruoxi that the Liu family wanted. Yang Kai had checked her cultivation with his divine sense before. She was only at the first level of the Holy King, and she hadn't even reached the Void Return Mirror, so her cultivation was pitifully low, and judging by her age, she was about 14 or 5 years old. This age, this kind of cultivation is actually very common in the star world. Moreover, although she is pretty and lovely, she is not a disaster for the country and the people, and she does not know what is so special about her, so that the Liu family can care about her so much. Or, she is simply a chess piece randomly chosen by the Liu family to annex the Zhang family. Yang Kai frowned slightly, not knowing why. At this moment, the old woman turned her gaze to Yang Kai, and said in a concentrated voice, "Little brother, I have a merciless request." Yang Kai nodded and said, "Old Furin, please tell me." The old woman said, "Little brother's cultivation is not bad, but Liu Baichuan's cultivation level is comparable to yours. If you really fight, it won't do you any good. I don't ask you to kill this person to avenge my Zhang family. I would like to invite you to come forward and keep my Zhang family safe this time. I am very grateful." "Is this a request?" Yang Kai asked with a smile. "Exactly." The old woman nodded solemnly, and the middle-aged beautiful woman and Zhang Ruoxi also looked at Yang Kai with a look of pleading. After all, the two most powerful members of the Zhang family are only at the first level of King Shu, and the old woman herself has been severely injured because of the secret technique she performed last time, so now she has no ability to compete with the Liu family. If Yang Kai let go of it, then the Zhang family will really be in disaster this time. However, Liu Baichuan's cultivation base is the same as Yang Kai's, and they are not sure whether Yang Kai can really fulfill the agreement with Zhang Gaoshuan and protect the Zhang family. The presents. For a while, I was very nervous, but I didn't dare to say anything more. This request, Yang Kai chuckled, causing the hearts of the 3 people in the hall to rise to their throats. "I can agree." The old woman breathed a sigh of relief. The beautiful woman and the young girl also felt relieved, and the 2 pairs of beautiful eyes were full of gratitude. "But old lady, I happen to be in Zhang's house this time, So I can keep you safe once, but what if I'm not in Zhang's house next time? What should you do if someone from Lu's house comes to provoke you again? I can't live in the house all the time. Here, Yang Kai said lightly. The old woman frowned, and sighed majestically. I can only take one step at a time. Yang Kai said in a deep voice. The old lady never thought about cutting the grass and roots. Cut the weeds and get rid of the roots. The old woman's cloudy eyes suddenly lit up, and she said in a concentrated voice, Little brother, are you sure? The Lu family has a lot of power, and Lu Baichuan is not alone. You can give it a try. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes. The old woman was stunned, and looked up and down at Yang Kai, as if she wanted to re-examine him, hesitated for a moment and said, If this is true, the Zhang family will regard the little brother as a benefactor, burn incense in the morning and evening, and kowtow 3 times in the morning and evening, praying for God Tianbao little brother will be safe forever. That's not necessary. Yang Kai smiled, but we have to renegotiate the conditions. Conditions? The old woman was startled, and then smiled wryly. I don't know what the little brother wants. I'm afraid there is nothing in my Zhang family that can catch your eyes. The old lady misunderstood. I didn't want anything. Yang Kai waved his hand. It's just that doing so is also a certain risk for me, and I don't like to be bound by any agreement, so if I can really get the Lu family if it is eradicated, then the previous agreement between me and brother Zhang will be fulfilled, and you will not ask me any more in the future. How about it? What does little brother mean? The old woman became thoughtful. Either, if I keep you safe this time, it will be regarded as fulfilling one of your requests, and you still have 2 chances to make requests to me, or, I will avenge you, which will be regarded as fulfilling all 3 requests at the same time, and you make your own choice. Hearing this, the old woman was overjoyed and said, Of course, I will choose the second option. If little brother can really avenge my Zhang family, there will be no need to bother you in the future. It can be regarded as you have fulfilled the agreement with Gao Zan. Not only that, but I also have another big thank you. Okay, then it's a deal. Yang Kai smiled, in a good mood, got up and said, Just wait for the good news. While speaking, he had already walked out the door. Little brother, this concubine is here for you. The middle-aged beautiful woman volunteered. After the words fell, Yang Kai's figure swayed and disappeared. Help me out to have a look. The old woman stood up excitedly, and said to Zhang Ruoxi who was beside her, who quickly helped the old woman up and hurried towards the outside. Outside the Zhang family manor, it was very lively. A team, beating gongs and drums, came to the gate of the manor in a mighty way, and there were 8 other people, carrying a sedan chair and many boxes covered with red cloth. This kind of team looks like it is used for welcoming relatives, and the things in those boxes are naturally bride price. But at this moment, the team stopped outside the manor. The leader was a middle-aged man with a mustache. He looked about 40 years old, with bright eyes and a deep breath. Behind this middle-aged man, there is another young man, wearing a big red wedding gown, standing there with a smile. His cultivation base is not high, only the 3rd level of the Holy King, and he is not very old. He looks like 16 or 17 years old. The face was festive, as if he was dazzled by happiness. The team welcoming the relatives was confronting the widows and orphans of the Zhang family. Everyone in the Zhang family stared at the man with the mustache and the young man in the scarlet robe behind him. All of them were angry, and the strength in their bodies was tumbling non-stop, but they did not dare to act rashly because of the difference in strength. Lu Baichuan, you still have the face to come to my Zhang family. The fat warrior who had sneaked up on Yang Kai before gritted his teeth and shouted at the man with the mustache, My Zhang family has been on good terms with your Lu family for generations, but you are still so ambitious. The method is cruel. Kill my disciple of the Zhang family. This revenge will not be avenged, and I swear not to be a human being. Lu Baichuan glanced at the fat warrior indifferently, and said, Junior, the old man is here to greet the relatives today, and I don't care about you. Let Aunt Cheng come out and talk. You still have the guts to call Aunt Cheng. The skinny warrior couldn't help but sneered. Lu Baichuan, I have learned a lot today, and I realize that your Lu family's skin is thicker than the city wall. I admire. Junior looking for death. Lu Baichuan is also a Void King 3rd layer powerhouse after all, and he couldn't bear it when he was yelled at by the void returning mirror of the 2 juniors, and immediately shouted angrily, Who are you calling yourself lousy in front of? No big deal small. While speaking, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the skinny warrior. The skinny warrior's expression changed, and he tried his best to mobilize his holy energy and potential field, and at the same time retreated quickly, trying to avoid Lu Baichuan's blow. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't mobilize his own strength. The gap in strength between the first level of Void Return and the third level of Void King is really too big. To put it bluntly, Lu Baichuan can crush a skinny warrior to death with just a finger. Seeing that the hand was about to grab his own head, the skinny warrior suddenly shouted crazily, "Lu Baichuan, even if I die today, I won't make it easier for you." While speaking, he actually pinched the Ling Ju, and the power suppressed in his body suddenly rose up and down. Self-explosion. Lu Baichuan's eyes twitched, and he snorted coldly, "In front of this old man, you still want a self-explosion? Well, since today is Tower's happy day, you should add some joy, boy, take your life." With a wave of his big hand, it instantly turned into a black curtain covering the sky, enveloping the skinny warrior. The skinny warrior's face was ashen and horrified. He realized that it was too late for him to blow himself up. But at this moment, the skinny warrior suddenly found a light burst out from the black curtain that covered him, which immediately shattered like a mirror, and at the same time, the pressure exerted on him suddenly disappeared. Overjoyed, he kept stepping forward, advancing instead of retreating, and at the same time, the power in his body became violent and disordered, as if he was about to explode. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2021 Insidious Enough. Chapter 2021 is insidious enough. Although the self-destruction of the Void-returning first-layer warrior is quite powerful, it is impossible to threaten the Void King's third-layer powerhouse, so the self-destruction of the thin warrior can only make Lu Baichuan ashamed at best. But his madness made Lu Baichuan shudder. And what surprised Lu Baichuan even more was a young man who suddenly appeared in front of him. As soon as this young man appeared just now, he casually disintegrated his own domain and offensive, "Save the Zhang family's skinny warrior, stand in front of yourself." With the aura emanating from the opponent, Lu Baichuan felt that this person was no worse than himself. When did the Zhang family have another Void King third layer? Lu Baichuan was puzzled, and he didn't dare to act rashly, so he retreated hastily. Yang Kai looked at him indifferently, and didn't intend to pursue him, but stretched out his hand to slap the skinny warrior. The violent power in his body disintegrated in an instant, the whole person staggered and almost fell to the ground. Raising his head, the thin warrior stared blankly at Yang Kai, who suddenly appeared, and it took him a while to come back to his senses. "The third one is coming back soon." The fat warrior broke out in a cold sweat and hurriedly greeted the thin warrior. Seeing that he hadn't moved, he hurried over and pulled the thin warrior back into the crowd. "Who is your excellency?" Lu Baichuan stared at Yang Kai, instinctively feeling that the other party was not easy to mess with, and couldn't help asking in a deep voice, "You don't seem to be from the Zhang family." Yang Kai smiled and shook his head, "No." "Then who are you? Why do you want to take care of the Zhang family's affairs?" Lu Baichuan frowned. Yang Kai's casual move just now made him realize that Yang Kai's strength is not inferior to his own, so he didn't really want to be an enemy of Yang Kai, so he could only inquire about his origin and Zhang family's relationship first. "For some reason, the Zhang family's business is now my business." Yang Kai smiled. Lu Baichuan said, "What do you mean, my friend? Since you want to take care of the Zhang family's affairs, you should tell me why. Besides, the old man is going to welcome the relatives today, not to embarrass the Zhang family." "Did my friend misunderstand something?" Lu Baichuan, "Stop talking sweet words. My husband was killed by you in the five-color pagoda. This hatred is irreconcilable." At this moment, the middle-aged beautiful woman who came out of the manor with a sharp sword in her hand shouted. With a sound, it appeared beside Yang Kai. Lu Baichuan smiled and said, "Sister-in-law, brother Zhang's death. Lu is also very sorry, but this matter really has nothing to do with Lu. How should I explain it to you to believe it? This little brother has already brought back my husband's last words before he died. You still want to argue?" The middle-aged beautiful woman pointed at Yang Kai, gritted her teeth and shouted. Lu Baichuan shrank his eyes, and immediately turned to look at Yang Kai. "Have you seen brother Zhang in the five-color pagoda?" When he asked this sentence, there was a look of surprise in his expression, as if the news was good news for him. Yang Kai said calmly, "I have seen it, but why are you so happy?" "Hee, did you think of something?" Lu Baichuan's face changed several times, and he said in a low voice, "If that's the case, isn't that thing on your body?" "You really thought of it?" "That's right, that thing is on me, what do you think?" Yang Kai looked at him loudly. At this moment, a hint of annoyance suddenly appeared on the face of the middle-aged beautiful woman, secretly blaming herself for being a little indiscreet, revealing the secret that Yang Kai had obtained the Daoyuan fruit. After all, Liu Baichuan and Zhang Gaoxuan entered the five-color pagoda together, and they also had contact inside the pagoda, so maybe it was the original fruit they discovered together. Even if the beautiful woman didn't personally reveal the news that Dao Yuanguo was on Yang Kai's body, with Liu Baichuan's shrewdness, how could she not deduce it? It seems that you secretly murdered Brother Zhang because of that thing. Yang Kai looked at Liu Baichuan with disdain. HMPH, even if I don't have that thing, I'll do it. But this is a matter between my family, Liu and Zhang. Now that that thing is on your body, Liu has something to say to his friends. What? Yang Kai looked at him with great interest. Liu Baichuan's expression froze immediately, his lips twitched, and the sound transmission started. But at this moment, Yang Kai suddenly smiled mysteriously, jumped up, and flew up into the sky, and the moment he took action, a small black snake broke out from the ground, silently towards Yang bite away from the calf, but the bite was empty. None of the people present found out what the black snake had sneaked into the ground, and they only shouted nervously when it revealed its whereabouts. My friend is insidious enough. Yang Kai looked down at Liu Baichuan with a sneer. It seems that Brother Zhang was attacked by you in this way, and then died of poison, right? While speaking, Yang Kai flicked his fingers, and a golden blood thread shot out, turning into a golden thread, and entangled towards the black as if spiritual. Liu Baichuan didn't expect Yang Kai to be so vigilant and able to avoid such a hidden blow. When he plotted against Zhang Gaoxuan in the five-color pagoda, he succeeded in one fell swoop. Seeing that the situation was not good, he whistled lightly, and the black snake immediately wanted to burrow into the ground again as if it had received some order. But it was already too late. The golden blood thread coiled around and strangled the spirit snake tightly. Chi-chi. The snake core heaved. No matter how hard the black snake struggled, it still couldn't get rid of the entanglement of the golden blood thread, and as the golden blood thread became tighter and tighter, the black snake's skin and flesh were stretched out of the wound, and fresh blood flowed out. Stop! Liu Baichuan yelled, and suddenly sacrificed a small hammer, pouring the energy in his body into the hammer, and the surface of the small hammer immediately flickered with a faint blue arc, and then turned into a ferocious electric arc. Bombarded towards Yang Kai. Yang Kai shrank his eyes, realizing that the small hammer must be a high-grade secret treasure, and he didn't resist rashly, shaking his body to avoid it. There was a hissing sound, and accompanied by a few clear and crisp sounds, the black snake strangled by the golden blood thread was finally cut into several sections, and the corpse rolled to the ground. Still hesitating, it looked fierce and vicious. But with such an injury, it was bound to die. My spirit snake! Liu Baichuan opened his mouth and shouted as if someone had robbed his wife and daughter. His eyes suddenly turned red, he looked angrily at Yang Kai who was hiding in the air, and roared, "Kill my spirit snake, I will kill you. I want you to die." While speaking, all the strength in his body poured into the small hammer in his hand desperately. There was a cracking sound, like thunder on the ground, the light on the small hammer flashed wildly, and the aura of the surrounding world was suddenly turbulent. Liu Baichuan threw the small hammer in his hand, and the hammer actually carried the terrifying power of destroying heaven and earth, and turned into a grid to cover Yang Kai. Little brother, be careful, the Thunder Wind Hammer of the Liu family is a high-grade secret treasure of King Shu, and it cannot be shaken. The scream of the old lady of the Zhang family came from below, and she finally came out with the help of Zhang Ruoxi, just in time to see in this scene. I immediately opened my mouth to remind. How could Yang Kai forcefully follow the power of the secret treasure? The power of the thunder element has always been fierce and domineering. Even if he is physically strong, he dare not lighten his head. With 10 fingers flicking, dozens of golden blood threads flew out, turning into golden nets in midair, and met Lei Feng hammer. Rumbling. There was a loud noise, the light of the golden blood thread was continuously disillusioned, and the wandering arc of lightning also sputtered into the void. The scene of the two fighting looked extremely thrilling, and made other people's hearts jump when they saw it. Great-grandmother, can this gentleman win? Zhang Ruoxi, who was supporting the old woman, looked at Yang Kai. Although she was not very old, she also knew that the safety of the Zhang family depended entirely on Yang Kai, so she was also very nervous. The old woman didn't answer. After all, she didn't know much about Yang Kai, she only felt that he had a Void King third layer cultivation, but Liu Baichuan was also a Void King third layer. Competing against opponents of the same realm, the outcome is really unpredictable. But looking at the current situation, Yang Kai seemed to have a calm expression on his face, while Lu Baichuan had a violent expression, as if he had put in all his strength, and he didn't know what the black snake was up to that made him pay so much attention to it. In the sky, the golden net transformed by the golden blood thread and the thunder net of Lei Fenghammer were evenly matched. Lu Baichuan yelled loudly, opened his mouth to spit out, and unexpectedly sacrificed another secret treasure. When the old woman saw it, her complexion changed drastically, and she said in a horrified voice, "Silver Moon Purple Frost Knife." Zhang Lu and Zhang Lu had always been friends, so the old woman knew a little about some of the secret treasures of the Lu family. Seeing the secret treasures offered by Lu Baichuan, she quickly recognized them. The Yinyu Purple Frost Knife is the same as the Leifeng Hammer, both of which are high-grade Void King level secret treasures. They are the two most powerful secret treasures owned by the Lu family. Baichuan alone. Little brother, be careful. This Yinyu Zishuang knife was originally a Daoyuan level secret treasure refined by a master craftsman. Unfortunately, it failed, so it fell to the Void King level high grade, but it contains a trace of the power of law. The old woman said again. He opened his mouth and shouted. "Shut up, old man." Lu Baichuan was furious. He was fighting Yang Kai to the death, but the old woman exposed his family background here. How could Lu Baichuan not be angry? Immediately, with a wink, a few people rushed out of the team that came with him to welcome the bride, and rushed towards the Zhang family. In this team, there are 3 Void King Realm warriors. Although they are all warriors of the Void King Realm, they are more than enough to deal with the widows and widows of the Zhang family. Seeing the people from the Lu family rushing towards them, the old woman also used a cane. She exchanged a glance with the middle-aged beautiful woman and used her power together to lead the people from the Zhang family to fight with the Lu family. And after Lu Baichuan sacrificed the Yinyu Zishuang knife, he immediately held it in his right hand, and sneered at Yang Kai from a distance. "Boy, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. You hand over that thing, and I won't die around you, otherwise, once this knife comes out, you will never be able to resist it. Where do you come from so confident?" Yang Kai laughed loudly, and hooked his fingers at him contemptuously. "If you want to do it, hurry up, I really want to see the power of your broken knife." "You don't have to drink a toast," Lu Baichuan said angrily. "If that's the case, I'll let you see it." After saying that, he suddenly held the Yinyu Zishuang knife flat on his chest, opened his mouth and spit out a mouthful of blood on it. The next moment, the blade suddenly vibrated, and the power of the law fluctuated from it. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2022 The Needle of Space. Feeling the power of this unique law, Yang Kai raised his eyes, and his expression became a little dignified. The old woman said that the Yinyu Purple Frost Knife was born because of the failure of refining Daoyuan-level secret treasures, which is really true. Otherwise, it is impossible for ordinary Void King-level secret treasures to have such an effect. Of course, it is also thanks to Lu Baichuan's advanced self-cultivation that he was able to arouse this power of law. The source power in his body must have been transformed, and he may even have touched the threshold of Daoyuan and glimpsed some of the mysteries of laws. Otherwise, if someone from the 3rd level of the Void King came here, even with the Silver Moon Purple Frost Knife, it would be impossible to activate such power. That kind of law is the law of ice cold, although it is very subtle, even elusive, but it is already a level that can only be touched by Daoyuanjing. With this secret treasure in hand, Lu Baichuan's own combat power has been upgraded to a new level. Kachacha. The surrounding space faintly showed signs of being frozen. With the place where Lu Baichuan was at the center, the ground under his feet quickly spread layers of frost. The patriarch of the Lu family suddenly shouted loudly, stepped out with his foot in the air, and his figure disappeared in place. The next moment he came in front of Yang Kai inexplicably, and slashed out with a knife. The light of the saber flickered, and its power was so strong that it made people feel that there was no way to avoid it, and the icy coldness emanating from the saber blocked all the space in one side, and Yang Kai was just like that. With ha 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 ha, Lu Baichuan looked up to the sky and laughed, with a happy expression on his face. It's really like a mantis arm is like a car, and he is beyond his control. He has a very strong confidence in his blow with all his strength, because there are already several Void King 3 layers under his blow, and he believes that Yang Kai is absolutely not immune to the possibility. But at this moment, he suddenly shrank his eyes and looked forward in horror. In front of his eyes, Yang Kai, who was supposed to have been split in half and had no power to parry, was safe and sound at this moment, with no scars on his body. He was holding a green long sword with no edge or edge. Among them, there was something like a spirit snake swimming, standing in front of him, blocking the shocking blow of Yinyu's Ishuang knife. The power of the ice-cold law that made Void King realm powerhouses helpless did not affect him at all. Instead, he flicked the green long sword with his fingers, and a strange force permeated out, disintegrating the power of the ice-cold law in an instant. Under Lu Baichuan's shock, his face changed wildly, and he lost his voice. You can also activate the power of law. The law is extremely profound power, it is the power of heaven and earth itself. In this world, except for those who are strong in the Daoyuan realm, they cannot be used by warriors in the Void King realm. Secret Treasure was able to get a glimpse of the mystery, but he didn't want Yang Kai to do better than him. Looking at Yang Kai's understatement and dispelling his sure-killing blow, it is obvious that his comprehension of the power of law has surpassed 99% of the Void King realm, and even reached the level of the Dao Origin realm. And without the bonus of the power of law, Yang Kai can easily take the attack of a Void King level high-grade secret treasure. The kid pretends to be a pig and eats a tiger. Damn it! Lu Baichuan roared angrily. Yang Kai laughed loudly. It's your dog who sees people as inferior. While speaking, he pressed down the keel sword in his hand, and Lu Baichuan fell directly to the ground like a meteorite falling from the sky. After landing, Lu Baichuan immediately pinched his spirit art, and the ground suddenly roared loudly, and then, with a few, bang bang bang, 3 earth dragons emerged from the ground, roaring with their mouths open, shaking their heads and tails towards Yang. The attack was launched, and the scene suddenly turned upside down. Earth Dragon Burst Dance! Lu Baichuan sternly shouted, and when he finished speaking, he turned around, not caring about the life and death of the rest of the Lu family, and quickly retreated towards the way he came. Mr. Yang, he's about to run away. Zhang Ruoxi suddenly said coquettishly. During the battle between Lu and Zhang, two warriors, this little girl who was only at the first level of the Holy King had no ability to intervene, so she could only stand outside and watch from a distance. Seeing that Lu Baichuan was so courageous, she couldn't help reminding her. He can't run away. Yang Kai snorted coldly, swept out the keel sword in his hand, and the green sword glow directly chopped the 3 earth dragons into powder, and disappeared in place in a flash. Although he didn't have any enmity with the Lu family, firstly he had an agreement with Zhang Gaoxuan, and secondly he was not ashamed of Lu Baichuan's character, so he didn't have any burden on his heart to be an enemy of the Lu family. It seemed that Lu Baichuan released the 3 earth dragon secret techniques just to buy time to escape, but it didn't have any effect. When Yang Kai reappeared, the person had already come not far behind him. The keel sword glowed, and when Yang Kai was about to give Lu Baichuan a fatal blow, the fleeing Lu family patriarch suddenly turned around, the corner of his mouth a tricky smile appeared. Ling Ju pinched and flicked his fingers towards Yang Kai. A strange power fluctuation came. Yang Kai's eyelids shrank suddenly, and his expression suddenly became weird. Immediately afterwards, he turned around and pinched his fingers forward. Ha 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 ha. Lu Baichuan stopped, as if seeing a very funny scene. He looked at Yang Kai mockingly and said, "It's really a dead end." Really? Yang Kai squinted at him coldly, shaking his fingers in front of him. Lu Baichuan's smile suddenly froze on his face twitched violently, and he exclaimed in shock, "Impossible, this is impossible. You can't break the secret technique that I have been studying for a lifetime. This is what you rely on. It seems that you wanted to let me relax my vigilance when you ran away before." Yang Kai said, and when he exerted force on his hand, the strange force caught by him disappeared in an instant. Seeing this situation, Lu Baichuan really changed his face, realizing that he was definitely not Yang Kai's opponent, and if he continued to fight, he would surely die. He didn't hesitate anymore, and immediately fled to the distance, not daring to stay at all. Interesting, it turned out to be space power. Yang Kai didn't chase after him immediately, but murmured while staring at Lu Baichuan's figure. Just now Lu Baichuan lured himself by running away, and the power he turned back to strike turned out to be the power of space. Although it couldn't be as powerful as his moon blade, it still condensed a needle of space. The power of space is secretive and difficult to guard against. If you don't notice it for a while, you may really be able to get it by Lu Baichuan. At that time, even a small needle of space could kill him. It's a pity that Lu Baichuan actually used the power of space in front of him. What's the difference between this and playing big swords in front of Guangdong? Looking back, the battlefield of the Liu and Zhang families is in chaos. The Zhang family is alone. Although the number of strong people is not as large as that of the Liu family, everyone has the determination to die, with fierce moves and firm will, especially the old woman and the Chinese. The young and beautiful woman and the two Void Kings were at the first level, almost a life-changing style of play, which really caused a group of people in the Liu family to suffer a lot. But they are much weaker after all. Judging from this momentum, it is only a matter of time before the Liu family wipes them out. But now, Liu Baichuan ran away in less than half a cup of tea with Yang Kai. This shocked the rest of the Liu family. Naturally, they all lost their fighting spirit and wanted to escape from this place as soon as possible. Seeing this, Yang Kai waved out dozens of golden blood threads, twisted and transformed into 3 golden spears. The golden spears only trembled slightly in the void, and then shot forward, piercing through 3 Liu family virtual king realm warriors. The body brought out a piece of blood. The miscellaneous fish is handed over to you. I will go after Liu Baichuan. Yang Kai did not kill them all. After severely injuring the 3 Void Kings, he took back the golden blood thread, and chased after Liu Baichuan disappeared. Direction away. Thank you, little brother. The old woman was overjoyed, and shouted, leading the members of the Zhang family to launch a fierce counterattack. The 3 Void Kings who are the most powerful enemies have already suffered heavy losses at the first level. It is a good time for them to take revenge in person. Why would the old woman hesitate? While feeling angry in his heart, he also felt more grateful to Yang Kai. In the northwest of Fenggalan City, 100 miles away from the Zhang family manor, there is another manor larger than the Zhang family. On the plaque above the main entrance of the manor, the word, Liu Mansion, is impressively written. It is obviously the Liu family mansion. The entire Liu family was full of joy today. The disciples and servants in the family were busy preparing for the upcoming marriage ceremony, but no one realized that a catastrophe was imminent. It wasn't until Liu Baichuan suddenly appeared like a ghost in the main hall of the mansion that a few warriors from the Liu family noticed it. Patriarch, didn't you go to the Zhang family to welcome the relatives? Why are you back at this time? The good time has not arrived yet. A void-returning mirror warrior from the Liu family asked in surprise. Pass down the order, let everyone quickly pack up their things and leave this place as soon as possible. After Liu Baichuan said a word, he didn't explain much, but immediately rushed inside. What? The few high-ranking members of the Liu family left behind looked at each other in dismay. However, although Liu Baichuan did not leave much information, everyone also deduced from his expression that something bad might happen soon, and they did not dare to disobey the order of the patriarch. Order below. In the backyard of the Liu family, in a secret room, Liu Baichuan rushed to this place in a hurry, took out a token, opened dozens of restrictions in the secret room, and entered it in a flash. The secret room is not big, but it has stored various storages of the Liu family over the years. Especially source crystals. Most of the source crystals in the entire Liu family are stored here. And in the very center of the secret room, there is a piece of round jade with a whole body of pitch black suspended in midair, slowly rotating, and from time to time, an inexplicable light flows on this round jade. As soon as Liu Baichuan rushed into the secret room, he rushed to the round jade. It seemed that in the whole secret room, only this round jade was the most valuable. He was about to reach out to take it back, but he suddenly noticed something and stopped, turned his head and shouted sharply, "Who?" Because at this moment, he actually noticed an inexplicable breath and life fluctuation behind him. What? At the same time, a sound of surprise came, and Yang Kai revealed his figure behind Liu Baichuan with a face of astonishment. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2023 Ethereal Jade. As early as halfway, Yang Kai had already caught up with Liu Baichuan. However, he did not show up immediately to rush at the killer, but quietly followed behind. With the power of Yang Kai's consciousness, supplemented by the secret technique nothingness, if he deliberately hides his words, even Daoyuan realm may not be able to find out, let alone Liu Baichuan who was running away. And the reason why he didn't kill Liu Baichuan was because Yang Kai had some interest in him. The power of space is not so easy to master. Even if Liu Baichuan can only condense an attack in the form of a needle of space, it is enough to show that he has some skills in the power of space. So I wanted to follow along to find out. After realizing that Liu Baichuan entered the secret room, Yang Kai hurriedly followed in, maintaining the void secret technique and hiding aside. But something happened that he never expected. The moment he entered this secret room, his nothingness secret technique was cracked by a strange force, thus revealing the whereabouts. He clearly felt that the power came from the pitch-black round jade suspended in midair. "You, how did you come in?" At this moment, Lu Baichuan shouted at Yang Kai sternly as if he had seen a ghost for half a day. Yang Kai withdrew his gaze from the pitch-black round jade, glanced at him, and said with a smile, "Of course I followed you in." "Damn, you really want to kill them all? Little brother, this old man has never met you. We have no grievances in the past and we have no enmity in the present, so why bother to force each other? Rather than fight with the old man and lose both, why don't you just let it go? The old man can let you leave safely. Go." Seeing that Yang Kai didn't attack him immediately, Lu Baichuan couldn't help but relax, and said, "I want to leave, do I still need your consent?" Yang Kai sneered, "Although I have no grudge against you, since I have agreed to Zhang family's request, I will not let you live any longer. The kid is too deceitful. You really think that this old man is afraid of your failure? If that's the case, then no one should think about it." Lu Baichuan saw that Yang Kai couldn't get in, and immediately knew that it would be useless to talk and had to fight to the death. While speaking, the power of his whole body was running wildly, and he rushed towards Yang Kai with red eyes, and the thunder wind hammer was sacrificed again. The hammer flashed with lightning, and the thunder arc bombarded the small secret room full of holes. Yang Kai smiled slightly and said lightly, "Come out." While speaking, he waved his hand casually. The whole body is snow white, and the mother body of the demon insect holding purple and blue swords makes a shocking debut. As soon as the monster worm mother appeared, she received Yang Kai's order, waved the two long swords in her hand, and greeted Lu Baichuan. There were too many people before, and Yang Kai didn't want to expose the existence of the monster worm mother body, but now in this secret room, there are only himself and Lu Baichuan, so there is no problem. Strength, it is definitely easy to deal with Lu Baichuan. Sensing the aura emanating from the monster worm's body, Lu Baichuan was startled, and said in a horrified voice, "11th level monster." In an instant, his face suddenly turned pale, and his fighting spirit disappeared in smoke. He is only at the 3rd level of the Void King now, and even if he encounters an ordinary 11th level monster, he has to run away. What's more, the monster mother body in front of him is not an ordinary 11th level monster, and even uses two long swords. Ability. "Little brother, Lu has confessed, and please spare my life." Lu Baichuan immediately begged for mercy without ambition. Yang Kai ignored him at all. Naturally, the demon worm's body would not care about his icy mood, and the purple and green swords radiated two colors of light, attacking Lu Baichuan. All of a sudden, the energy in the secret room fluctuated, and Lu Baichuan screamed strangely. He tried his best to protect himself from the demon worm's mother. After a while, he was hacked and bruised all over his body, dripping with blood. The bitterness in his heart was better than eating coptis. But Yang Kai had already arrived in front of the jet-black round jade at this moment, frowning and looking at it. This thing is so weird that Yang Kai penetrated into it with his spiritual sense, but found that he couldn't find it at all, and it disappeared like a stone sinking into the sea. And, it can actually crack its own void secret technique, and it doesn't know what kind of strange ability it has. After watching for a while, Yang Kaijong went out and grabbed the pitch-black round jade. Unexpectedly, he grabbed it very easily, and poured the power in his body, and it was the same as before, without a trace. No feedback at all. Weird. Yang Kai shook his head. "Little brother, please spare me. If you want to know the purpose of that thing, Lu can tell you everything. I just ask you to spare my life." Lu Baichuan was already cornered by the monster mother's body at this moment, and there was no way to hide, no way to escape a void. What made him feel resentful was that this secret room was built extremely strong by his ancestors of the Lu family for the purpose of hiding treasures. Unable to break out of the chamber to leave this place. "Do you know the details of this thing?" Yang Kai turned to look at him. Lu Baichuan hurriedly said, "Know a thing or two." Yang Kai nodded, and the next moment, with a movement of his divine sense, the monster worm's mother body immediately froze in place, and the purple and blue swords were only an inch away from Lu Baichuan's forehead, almost breaking him into two, and the dense sword energy that diffused out, but cut off his hair. Hair fell from the air and past Lu Baichuan's eyes, making him break out in a cold sweat. "Tell me, what exactly is this? Why can you crack my secret technique?" Yang Kai asked while playing with the pitch-black round jade in his hand. Lu Baichuan swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and weakly glanced at the monster worm body standing in front of him. He couldn't figure out how Yongkai, a mere Void King realm, could resist such a powerful monster. Stop making any foolish ideas, or I'll kill you immediately. Seeing his flickering expression, Yongkai couldn't help snorting coldly. Lu Baichuan was agitated, and said awkwardly, the old man admits it, how dare he come up with any tricks, but if the old man can tell the little brother some information, can the little brother save my life? You still want to negotiate terms with me? Yongkai laughed. Don't dare. Lu Baichuan quickly waved his hands. It's just, the old man really doesn't want to die. No one wants to die. Yongkai nodded. If that's the case, then I will spare your life. Lu Baichuan was overjoyed and was about to speak, but Yongkai said, of course, the premise is that the information you provide can satisfy me. Lu Baichuan's expression turned bitter immediately, and he said, I'm sure I'll know everything and say everything. Very good. Yongkai nodded in satisfaction, stretched out his hand, and a stone bench in the secret room was summoned, and the old god sat down on the ground and raised the pitch-black round jade in his hand. What is this thing? Lu Baichuan said, ethereal jade by empty spirit jade. Yongkai frowned, as if thinking of something, and asked, what does it have to do with empty spirit crystal? Lu Baichuan quickly replied, the ethereal jade bai is produced at the core of the ethereal crystal mine. There may not be one ethereal jade bai in 10,000 ethereal crystal mine. The product of the core of the void spirit crystal mine. Yongkai's expression changed. Exactly. But this doesn't seem to be pure ethereal jade, it seems to have been fused with other materials by some powerful person. It has been refined many times and it is already considered a secret treasure. Lu Baichuan explained again. Oh, you know a lot. Yongkai looked at him in surprise. Little brother, it's absurd. I've been studying it all these years and read a lot of classics, so I can speculate. Lu Baichuan smiled awkwardly, his expression changed a few times, and hesitatingly said, dare to ask little brother, do you have the power to practice space? Aren't you too? Yongkai looked narrowly at the other party. Lu Baichuan smiled wryly and said, how can the power of space of the old man be compared with that of the little brother? Before you held the secret space needle of the old man with one hand, the old man had some guesses. Now it seems that it is so. If it is not the same practice of space power, how could you take my space secret needle like that? It's just a small skill. Yongkai snorted softly. Yes, the light of the old firefly naturally cannot be compared with the brilliance of the little brother Haoyu. Stop flattering me, tell me, how did your space power come from cultivation, does it have something to do with this ethereal jade? Yongkai continued to ask. Little brother's eyes are like torches. Lu Baichuan nodded, the reason why I understand some space power is from this ethereal jade. Hearing what he said, Yongkai's doubts disappeared. When his void secret technique was deciphered by the ethereal jade, he had guessed that it was very likely related to the power of space, and the power of space that Lu Baichuan knew obviously had something to do with it. As the old man said before, this ethereal jade seems to have been refined into a strange secret treasure by a great power, but the old man was unable to exert its power, but he inadvertently learned a little bit of the cultivation of space power. That's why, Lu Baichuan explained while paying attention to Yongkai's expression changes. But Yongkai's expression was calm, and he couldn't see any emotions, making him secretly complain. It's so difficult to cultivate space power. If you don't have real qualifications, even if you try to figure it out for thousands of years, you won't be able to get started. I'm a little curious about what opportunity you have, and you can inadvertently understand the cultivation method of space power from it. Yongkai squinted looking at Lu Baichuan, he said indifferently, if you dare to tell lies, I will tell you not to live or not to die. Lu Baichuan was agitated, and hurriedly said, little brother, I dare not say anything false, but since the little brother wants to know, I will tell you one by one. It is true that the old man was able to spy on the power of space for some special reasons. The method of cultivation. This matter is a long story. In fact, this thing is not my Lu family's property, but Zhang's property. Then why did you come to your Lu family? Did you rob or steal it? Yongkai looked at him sneeringly. Lu Baichuan said, little brother, you have wronged me. This thing is a dowry brought by a woman from the Zhang family when she married the Lu family more than 200 years ago. You also know that my Lu family and the Zhang family have been friends for hundreds of years. The marriage is a normal thing. What does this have to do with the chance you got? Yongkai was confused. Little brother, please be safe and don't be impatient, listen to the old man speak slowly. Lu Baichuan took it easy, seeing Yang Kai's expression of coldness, he didn't dare to hesitate, and quickly continued to explain. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at Woai. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2024 Induction. After listening to Lu Baichuan's explanation, Yang Kai knew the whole story. According to him, this piece of ethereal jade was the dowry of a woman from the Zhang family 200 years ago. After it was brought to the Lu family, the strong men of the Lu family at that time also studied its use many times, but found nothing. They only knew about it. Extremely strong. At that time, the head of the Lu family also slapped the head of the Zhang family, and found that the Zhang family didn't seem to know the purpose of this ethereal jade, and only regarded it as a rare refining material, and then used it as a dowry and brought it into the palace. Lu family. The head of the Lu family also believed it, and then took the ethereal jade to find some master craftsmen, wanting to refine the secret treasure, but unfortunately those master craftsmen were unable to melt this rare, refining material, let alone tell it, types and origins. Since then, this ethereal jade has been hidden in the Lu family's secret treasury, until Lu Baichuan's generation. How did you discover its use, and you can even see the cultivation method of space power from it? Yang Kai suddenly became interested. This matter is also a coincidence. Lu Baichuan smiled bitterly, and continued. When Lu was practicing in this secret room more than 10 years ago, he accidentally discovered that this ethereal jade had some energy fluctuations. Lu Mo was in doubt, so he went to investigate, but found no useful information, and it returned to its original state after a while. Lu Mo also thought it was an illusion at the time, and didn't take it to heart. After half a year, it actually responded again. It was not until the second time that Lu found out that it was not an illusion. This time, it lasted for a long time, but it was a pity that there was still no harvest. Another 2 years after that, it responded for the third time, and it lasted for a full month, and it was at that time that Lu learned of its name, and also got a glimpse of the cultivation method of space power from it. So twists and turns. Yang Kai looked at Lu Baichuan suspiciously. Lu will never dare to lie, things are indeed like this. Lu Baichuan said hastily. Yang Kai nodded. Continue, I want to know why this ethereal jade will respond every now and then, and the time is not fixed. Lu Baichuan smiled wryly. At that time, Lu's thinking was the same as that of the little brother. Since Lu got a little bit of cultivation method from it and knew its general use, he naturally didn't want to miss this opportunity. After investigating, I found out that it reacted because a person came to my Lu family and was a guest at my Lu family. Which person? Yang Kai's eyes flashed. The corner of Lu Baichuan's mouth twitched. It's a little girl from the Zhang family. Yang Kai frowned, and soon, as if thinking of something, he said, Zhang Ruoxi. It's her. Lu Baichuan nodded and explained. Every time this ethereal jade bai has a reaction, this little girl is in my Lu family, and it's not too far away from the secret storehouse. If the second time was just a coincidence, then the third time must be because of her, because that time, she did live in my Lu family for a month, and after she left, this ethereal jade disc returned to silence. Lu, after I made this speculation, I kept my heart in mind. As expected, from then on, every time the little girl from the Zhang family came to my Lu family, the ethereal Yuba would have some reactions, and as she grew older, Yuba's the reaction seems to be getting stronger and stronger. Lu has no qualifications in space power, and the reason why he was able to cultivate the space secret needle is also thanks to this jade bai. That little girl actually has a reaction to this thing. Yang Kai was also a little stunned. Generally speaking, there are only two explanations for such a situation. One is that Zhang Ruoxi has a special physique that can trigger the reaction of the ethereal jade, the power of the blood of a mighty man. However, Yang Kai met Zhang Ruoxi, but he didn't find anything different about her, so he had to check carefully to see if she had a special physique. As for the second possibility, the possibility is relatively low, because if Zhang Ruoxi used the power of blood to attract the ethereal jade, then the rest of the Zhang family should be able to do the same. Unless there is something special in Zhang Ruoxi's blood that has awakened and has the conditions that the rest of the Zhang family does not have. Yang Kai frowned and pondered. Lu Baichuan didn't dare to act rashly, he could only observe his words with fear. So, you asked your heir to marry Zhang Ruoxi for this ethereal jade? Yang Kai said suddenly. Lu Baichuan smiled awkwardly, nodded and said, Exactly, as long as that little girl is in my Lu family, the old man will have a lot of time to study the ethereal jade, and he may not be able to make further progress in the way of space power. When he said this, Lu Baichuan had a frenzied look on his face. But soon, he was downcast again. Now he made a wrong move and lost all games. Whether he can save his life depends on Yang Kai's mood. How can he hope for the future? Little brother, I've said everything I need to say, and I beg you to be kind and let me go. Lu Baichuan looked at Yang Kai anxiously. Yang Kai nodded and said with a smile, of course it's no problem. Thank you, little brother. Lu Baichuan was overjoyed, and he bowed his head, but just as the words fell, he suddenly screamed, and his whole body flew upside down like a rag sack, and hit the wall directly, with most of his bones smashed into pieces. Blood spurted out and fell limply. Lu Baichuan looked at Yang Kai in disbelief, as if he didn't expect Yang Kai to be smiling at one moment and attack him so viciously the next moment. I promised not to die around you, so I won't kill you, don't worry. Yang Kai continued to smile. The person who wants to kill you is in the Zhang family. But that smile was imprinted in Lu Baichuan's eyes, but it was as terrifying as a devil, and he suddenly burst into a breath of blood, which stuck in his throat. Ho 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 ho, he didn't breathe for a long time, and he passed out directly. Yang Kai turned around, rolled up the source crystal in the Lu family's secret vault, and took off Lu Baichuan's space ring, then lifted him, opened the restriction of the secret vault, and Shi Shiren flew out. It took Yang Kai a little time to break the restriction of this secret library. Even with Lu Baichuan's token in hand, the 10 layers of restriction are not so easy to open. After he flew out of the secret vault, more than half a day had passed. Sweeping his spiritual mind out, Yang Kai couldn't help but be a little stunned and said, the people from the Lu family ran very fast, and there is no one left. When Lu Baichuan asked the Lu family to pack up their things and leave as soon as possible, Yang Kai also hid at the side, and naturally heard all of them, but he didn't expect their efficiency to be so high. But it doesn't matter anymore. Yang Kai promised the Zhang family's old woman to avenge them. Now that Lu Baichuan was captured alive by him, and only half his life was left, the 3 Void King realm who went to Zhang's family are probably also vicious at this moment. More or less, the task can be regarded as completed. Yang Kai never thought about such a thing as killing them all. There are 300 or 400 people in the Lu family, many old and weak women and children. Even if they really stood in front of Yang Kai would not be able to do it. So after he realized that the Lu family had run away, he had no intention of chasing him, but returned to the original road with peace of mind. At this moment, blood was everywhere at the gate of the Zhang family manor, and the corpses of the 3 Shu King realms of the Lu family were lying on the ground, beheaded to death by the Zhang family. The old woman's face was pale, covered in blood, and she didn't know whether it was her own or the enemy's. The middle-aged beautiful woman also had a bit of vain air, and the jade hand holding the long sword couldn't help trembling. There was still bright red blood on her delicate face. Add a touch of glamorous feeling. The fat and thin warriors all sat down on the ground. One was holding the blood gurgling from his thigh, the other was covering his stomach, and blood was also flowing from between his fingers. In this battle, although the Lu family's welcoming team was destroyed, countless people were injured on the Zhang family's side. Fortunately, no one died because of it, which is an acceptable situation. The women's army was cleaning the battlefield, and they would spit hard every time they were in front of the dead bodies of Lu family warriors. After resting for a while, the middle-aged beautiful woman said, "My lord, Brother Yang has been away for half a day and has not returned yet. I don't know what's going on. I want to meet you. What do you think?" "Okay." The old woman nodded. "Gane, you go, be careful." "Yes." The middle-aged beautiful woman nodded solemnly, and couldn't wait for herself to recover, so she wanted to drive towards the direction of the Lu family. At this moment, that Zhang Ruoxi suddenly said, "You don't need to go, grandmother, Mr. Yang seems to be back." Hearing what she said, the old woman and the middle-aged beautiful woman quickly looked up, and they saw a figure flying towards this side in the sky over there. "Sure enough, I'm back." The middle-aged beautiful woman felt relieved. The old woman also smiled and said, "Brother Yang is amazingly powerful, just returned safely." "Hey, he seems to be holding something in his hand, it's a person." The middle-aged beautiful woman stared intently, and when Yang Kai approached, her delicate body trembled suddenly. "It's that old thief Lu Baichuan." Brother Yang captured that old thief Lu Baichuan back. "Really?" The old woman's eyes flashed brightly. She quickly got up, stared at that side from afar, and after a while, couldn't help laughing loudly. It is indeed that old thief Lu Baichuan, it is indeed the law of heaven, and the retribution is not good. Gao Zhan, my son, you have knowledge under the spring, so you can rest in peace. In the end, 2 tears rolled down my face. Zhang Ruoxi supported the old woman by the side, her heart was mourning, and her eyes were red. The figure in front of him flickered, and Yang Kai had already landed in front of everyone, threw Lu Baichuan, who was only half-life left in his hand, to the ground, clasped his fists and said, "Thank you for waiting for a long time." Okay, thank you little brother, my Zhang family is very grateful for this kindness of little brother. The old woman said seriously. Yang Kai waved his hand and said, "Old Furin, you're welcome, I just fulfilled the agreement with brother Zhang." Hearing Zhang Gaoshuan mentioned by him, the expression on the old woman's face darkened again. Cough. I have already brought Lu Baichuan back, how to deal with it, old lady, you should discuss it yourself. Yang Kai changed the subject. To be continued. Chapter 2025 Misunderstanding. In the middle of the night, in the Zhang family manor, in a large hall. The old lady of the Zhang family hosted a banquet in honor of Yang Kai to thank him for today's kindness, and there were only Yang Kai, the middle-aged woman and the old woman at the banquet. The young girl Zhang Ruoxi stood aside and waited attentively, holding a jug and pouring wine for the 3 of them. Her beautiful eyes looked at Yang Kai from time to time, full of gratitude and admiration. The girl is not very old, only 16 or 17 years old, it is the age of the cardamom, when she looks forward to being a hero. Today Yang Kai almost destroyed the Lu family with her own power, avenging her Zhang family. How can the girl not worship? Among the people she has come into contact with in her life, Zhang Gaoshuan is probably the strongest. Unfortunately, her grandfather died in the 5-color pagoda. And Yang Kai doesn't seem to be very old, but he possesses strength stronger than her grandfather, so she can't help but take a few more glances. Perhaps with the influence of the aroma of wine, the girl's small face is now imprinted by the candlelight. According to the photo, she looks flushed, standing there with her head down all the time, only walking around when she needs to pour wine. She looks extremely well behaved. My Zhang family doesn't have much hospitality, please don't be too polite. Although the old woman was injured, she still looked rosy and greeted Yang Kai to eat and drink. The middle-aged beautiful woman also warmly greeted her. Old Furin is being polite, I really don't dare to take the word benefactor, if you don't mind, you can just call the younger generation by name. Yang Kai was extremely uncomfortable being called by the old woman. Yang Kai already wanted to leave after the orphans of the Zhang family killed Lu Baichuan. If it wasn't for Zhang Ruoxi's relationship with that ethereal jade, he would never agree to stay anyway. It's just that he didn't know how to talk about it. He instinctively felt that the ethereal jade was hiding a lot of secrets, and it was very likely to be related to the Zhang family. It would be counterproductive to speak rashly, so he could only look for right opportunity. Thinking of this, he couldn't help raising his head and glanced at Zhang Ruoxi, just in time to see the little girl quietly watching him with a pair of bright eyes. Seeing Yang Kai looking towards her, Zhang Ruoxi was so frightened that she quickly lowered her head, her pretty face flushed red. Yang Kai chuckled and shifted his gaze casually. The beautiful woman sitting on Yang Kai's left side took this scene into her eyes. She didn't know what she thought of, but she pursed her lips and smiled. Old Furin, the matter of the Lu family has been resolved, according to what we said before, even if I have fulfilled the agreement with brother Zhang. Yang Kai looked serious and said. Naturally. The old woman nodded. As for the Daoyuan pill, after I find an alchemist and finish refining it, I will hand it over to the Zhang family. Please rest assured, madam. The old woman chuckled. Benefactor's character, the old body can still believe it, and my Zhang family is not in a hurry. Now my Zhang family's talent is withered, so what if I get Daoyuan pill? So don't worry about this matter, benefactor. Let's talk about it when you have time to find someone to refine it. It's the best. Yang Kai nodded. At this moment, the middle-aged beautiful woman who hadn't said much all the time suddenly said, Brother Yang is young, but he has such amazing cultivation, and he is also tall and handsome. I'm afraid there are many women who want to come to admire you. Bar. Yang Kai was stunned when he heard the words. He never thought that the middle-aged beautiful woman would tell him this matter. The old woman also frowned. Although she felt that it was inappropriate for a woman to talk to Yang Kai, she knew that her daughter-in-law would not be aimless, so she didn't say much but tasted the wine lightly. The beautiful woman was also watching her words, seeing that Yang Kai was stunned for a moment and then there was a look of reminiscence in her eyes, and the expression on her face softened. She couldn't help but feel a sudden in her heart, knowing that Yang Kai's relationship must not be blank. But if you think about it carefully, it's no wonder that although Yang Kai looks small, since he can cultivate to the level of Void King Third Order, he will naturally experience extraordinary experiences, and he will always meet some unforgettable women on this road of life. It would be strange if Yang Kai really knew nothing about feelings. The banquet seemed to have fallen into a strange silent atmosphere because of Yang Kai's memories. After a long time, Yang Kai let out a long sigh, got up and said, "Old Furin, it's late at night, you should go back to rest first. Old madam, you were injured during the daytime battle, and you should rest earlier to prevent the injury from getting worse." The old woman smiled and nodded. "Xie Engong is caring, since that's the case, if you cherish, take Engong to the guest room, so that I can serve you." "Yes." Zhang Ruoxi heard the words, put down the jug, and saluted Yang Kai Yingying. "Sir, please follow me." Yang Kai apologized and left with Zhang Ruoxi. After Yang Kai left, the old woman glared at the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman said with a look of embarrassment, "My lord, the daughter-in-law knows that she has said the wrong thing." "Humph. Fortunately, I didn't offend my benefactor, otherwise I will not be around you." The old woman snorted coldly. The beautiful woman nodded her head again and again. "But, why did you inquire about those things just now?" The old woman frowned and asked again. The beautiful woman pursed her lips and said, "Didn't you notice, my lord? The benefactor at the banquet seemed to have seen Ruoxi several times." "So what?" asked the old woman. The beautiful woman said, "Although Ruoxi is not as beautiful as a fish or a wild goose, she is still a little beauty. This benefactor is probably interested in Ruoxi." Hearing this, the old woman hesitated and said, "Isn't it? If Etsukai is only at the first level of the Holy King, how can he fall into the eyes of benefactor?" The beautiful woman pursed her lips and said with a smile, "My lord, when a man looks at a woman, he doesn't only look at his cultivation level but also his feeling. When the feeling comes, it doesn't matter how low the cultivation level is. If it doesn't feel right, no matter how high the cultivation base is, it doesn't matter." The old woman said angrily, "Are you teaching the old woman that she doesn't understand the way of men and women?" The beautiful woman stuck out her tongue and said, "Daughter-in-law, how dare you, it's just that my Zhang family is weak now, and Gaozan died tragically in the five-color pagoda. Although the Lu family is gone now, there is no need to worry about foreign enemies for a short time, but mother, don't forget now, there are not only the Lu family in the vicinity of thousands of miles. If my Zhang family does not have any strong people to protect me, what should I do if a strong enemy comes one day? And the benefactor and Gaozan's relationship, we have already used up the 3 requirements agreed upon during the meeting, and it is impossible to ask him to help us in the future." "You mean," the old woman was thoughtful, "if my Zhang family can get involved with him, if my Zhang family is in trouble in the future, can he still stand by and watch?" The beautiful woman smiled, and Ruoxi is the key to getting involved with benefactor. Quote, "I understand what you want to say." The old woman nodded, pondered for a moment and said, "If it is true as you said, this may not be a good way. Gaozan is dead, my Zhang family really should think about the future." Quote, "That's right, and, at such a young age, he has already reached the level of the Void King's third-layer realm, and judging from his performance during the day, it seems that he is not an ordinary Void King's third-layer realm, but I don't have the ability to go deep into the Lu family and capture Lu Baichuan alive. With his aptitude, it's not impossible to be promoted to Daoyuan in the future. If my Zhang family can have some relationship with him, it's a good place to enjoy the shade under the big tree. Who would dare to provoke me at that time?" Hearing this, the old woman's eyes lit up, and she was very moved. Around Fenggalan City, there are not many families that can have a relationship with a strong source of Dao. Worry-free for 100 years. However, she still hesitated and said, "That's what I said, I'm afraid it's our wishful thinking, in case I offend my benefactor." The beautiful woman smiled coquettishly, "My lord, we can definitely do this." While speaking, he leaned over and whispered in the old woman's ear. The old woman nodded repeatedly after hearing this, and smiled for a long while and said, Okay, what you said is very good, I will do as you say, but if this is the case, it will be hard to cherish this girl." The beautiful woman smiled and said, "Why did you suffer from her? I don't think that Engong is a wicked person. If Ruoxi really followed him, I'm afraid the happiness will not be endless. Mother, don't worry, the daughter-in-law will explain this to Ruoxi tonight. Thing. Well, if Ruoxi disagrees, don't force it. I don't want to trade her happiness for the future of my Zhang family. The old woman nodded. Under the leadership of the girl, Yang Kai walked around the manor, and after a while, he came to a wing room. The girl opened the door and entered, making the bed and folding the quilt, extremely skillful. On the way, Yang Kai asked her a few words intentionally, but judging from the young girl's reaction, she was a very shy person. When answering Yang Kai's question, her voice trembled and her face flushed, which made Yang Kai feel uncomfortable. I am ashamed to speak more. After everything was dealt with, the girl bowed and said, Sir, you rest, Ruoxi is leaving. Thank you. Yang Kai nodded. The girl hurriedly walked past him, and under the moonlight, Yang Kai could clearly see that the bases of her ears were all bright red. After the girl left, Yang Kai turned his head and looked at the room, and found that the interior decoration of the room was also luxurious. Immediately, he waved his hand, and the strength and spiritual consciousness in his body were mixed, forming a restriction in the room, to isolate outsiders from probing. He swayed, came to the bed, sat down cross-legged, and began to check today's harvest. Needless to say, the things obtained from the Liu family's secret treasury, those source crystals are quite a lot, more than 600,000. Combined with Yang Kai's previous harvest, he now has almost 1 million low-grade source crystals. There are also some secret treasures in the secret storehouse, all of which are Void King level grades. Yang Kai just glanced at them before throwing them into the space ring, and he stuffed some rare ores into mysterious small boundary, so that the Dharma body absorbs and smelts with the sky-eating method. There are also some medicinal pills. Yang Kai checked them one by one, sorting them out by categories, in case they are needed. Next, Yang Kai checked Liu Baichuan's space ring again. The things obtained are basically the same as those in the secret vault. However, the Thunder Wind Hammer and Silver Moon Purple Frost Knife gave Yang Kai a little bit of a refreshment. Even though the Thunder Wind Hammer can control the power of thunder and lightning, it is fierce and domineering, but it is a virtual king-level secret treasure after all, and cannot be surpassed play. But the Yinyu Zishuang knife can stimulate a little bit of power of law. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2026 Parting. Before he was promoted to Daoyuan realm, the Yinyu Purple Frost Knife was of some use to him. Among the secret treasures in his hands, the most precious ones are the 4 great emperor treasures, but none of them can be easily revealed in front of people. Other than that, only the Dragon Bone Sword is left. However, Yang Kai had already made up his mind to take the time to fuse the Dragon Bone Sword into his body, so this secret treasure was destined to disappear in the near future. The Yinyu Zishuang knife just made up for the gap in this aspect. This secret treasure is not too high grade, and it will not attract too much attention when it is taken out. What is rare is that it still has the power to induce a trace of law. Thinking of this, Yang Kai put away the Yinyu Purple Frost Knife, and didn't refine it carefully, so as not to waste time. This way, he can replace it at any time when there is a better one. Then, he solemnly took out that piece of ethereal jade from the space ring. As soon as the pitch-black round jade appeared, Yang Kai felt that it was different from the daytime. At this moment, this ethereal jade was trembling slightly, exuding a mysterious power fluctuation, and there were layers on the surface. Dark ripples rippling past. The pitch-black jade wall seemed to become even darker, like a black hole, trying to swallow everything. Sure enough, there is a reaction. Seeing this, Yang Kai didn't know that the reason why the ethereal jade had such a change was because Zhang Ruoxi was nearby. When Yang Kai saw it during the day, this thing was the ancient well is not disturbed. At this moment, he clearly felt that there were obvious space power fluctuations in the ethereal jade disk. If someone was immersed in this kind of power fluctuation for a long time, he might not be unable to spy on the cultivation method of space power. Back then, Zhang Ruoxi lived in Lu's house for a month, and within that month, Liu Baichuan had his own opportunity to learn about space power. Thinking about it now, the reason why Liu Baichuan wanted his heir to marry Zhang Ruoxi was entirely because of the ethereal jade bai, and it could even be said that his deliberate efforts to deal with the Zhang family might also have something to do with it. However, Yang Kai still couldn't find anything with the help of such fluctuations. If Zhang Ruoxi were to come into contact with such a jade bai, he didn't know what would happen. It's just that although this thing is in his hands now, in the final analysis, it still comes from the Zhang family. Yang Kai took it as his own, and it's fine if he doesn't return it to others. After all, this is his spoils of war, and the Zhang family has no position to say anything. If you go to the Zhang family to inquire about the secret of this thing, it will be unreasonable. People in the Zhang family may not know the true value of this thing. Otherwise, 200 years ago, it would not have been given to the Liu family as a dowry. It seems that everything still depends on oneself. Yang Kai secretly made up his mind to pay attention. For the next 2 days, Yang Kai stayed at Zhang's house, and every time he left the guest room, he kept searching for the secrets hidden in the ethereal jade, but unfortunately he found nothing. When he realized that such an investigation was not an option, he knew that it was meaningless to stay in the Zhang family, so he immediately set off to bid farewell to the Zhang family's mistress. The old woman and the middle-aged beautiful woman tried to persuade Yang Kai to stay, but seeing that Yang Kai had no intention of going, they did not force him anymore, but sent him out of the manor in person. Engong, take care of yourself in the future. If you have time to spare, please honor your honor and come to my Zhang family to hang around. Everyone in my Zhang family will welcome you. After 2 days of recuperation, the old woman looked much better. But she is old after all, and she lost a lot of vitality in the last battle, and she can't recover at all. Seeing her enthusiasm, Yang Kai smiled slightly and said, if there is a chance, please don't dislike the old lady. Engong, this time you solved the crisis of the Zhang family. My whole Zhang family really can't repay you. I see Engong alone, and it will inevitably be inconvenient in daily life. I want Ruoxi to accompany Engong to take care of Engong's life in the future. Daily life, benefactor, please don't refuse. The middle-aged beautiful woman said while pulling out Zhang Ruoxi who was hiding behind her. Ah, Yang Kai was stunned for a moment, never expecting that the middle-aged beautiful woman would have such a proposal before leaving, and subconsciously looked at the girl. But she saw the girl with her head down, playing with the corners of her clothes with her hands, her face blushing, but she was obedient and silent. A strange feeling suddenly surged in Yang Kai's heart, but he soon understood the intention of this middle-aged beautiful woman. She obviously felt that the Zhang family's vitality was seriously weakened, and she was afraid that a strong enemy would attack one day, so she wanted to build a good relationship with herself and make herself a shelter of the Zhang family, so that Zhang Ruoxi could become a bridge between herself and the Zhang family. If he really agreed to it, seeing Zhang Ruoxi's face, he really wouldn't stand idly by at that time. After understanding this point, Yang Kai frowned, instinctively rejecting it, but he couldn't refuse it. Because according to his original idea, he wanted to deal with the matter with Kong-saran first, and after returning to Fenggalan City, he would come to the Zhang family as a guest, so as to study the ethereal jade, otherwise he would have I will not tell the old woman that there will be opportunities in the future. How did he know that the Zhang family had intentionally given Zhang Ruoxi to him? This made him a little bit happy while rejecting this approach, and he couldn't help but feel that it took no effort to find nowhere to find it. Seeing Yang Kai groaning silently, Zhang Ruoxi seemed to be even more embarrassed. The middle-aged beautiful woman smiled slightly and said, although Ruoxi's cultivation is not high, he can't help Engong in battle, but he has good talent, and quiet by nature and dexterous in mind. If benefactor takes her with her, she will not need to worry about trivial matters in the future, but can concentrate on cultivation and reach the Daoyuan realm as soon as possible. While promoting Zhang Ruoxi vigorously in front of Yang Kai, the middle-aged beautiful woman observed her words and said, I'm afraid, my benefactor despises her. If that's the case, then it's Ruoxi's deprivation of this blessing. As soon as these words came out, Zhang Ruoxi couldn't help trembling her delicate body, and her two little hands clenched into fists. If she girl is beautiful and intelligent, how can I dislike it, but… Yang Kai frowned, and glanced at the old woman while speaking, seeing that the old woman also looked at him expectantly, knowing that this matter was probably caused by the old woman and the middle-aged beauty. We discussed it together. Perhaps, during the banquet that night, I looked at Zhang Ruoxi a few more times, which also caused them to misunderstand. Seeing Zhang Ruoxi lowering her head, biting her thin lips lightly, looking like she was about to cry, Yang Kai sighed inwardly, swallowed the words of refusal, and said, it's just that I don't want to make things difficult for others. I have to ask about this matter. Ruoxi girl's own opinion, if she wants to go with me, I can take her away from the Zhang family. If she doesn't want to, then forget it. Hearing this, the middle-aged beautiful woman breathed a sigh of relief, and said with a smile, it's only natural. While talking, she looked at Zhang Ruoxi and said, "Girl, what benefactor asked you? You just tell the truth, are you willing to leave with benefactor and serve benefactor as a slave and handmaid from now on?" Zhang Ruoxi didn't even dare to lift her head, she just nodded lightly. The middle-aged beautiful woman smiled and said, "You mean what you say, or else benefactor wouldn't know what you're thinking." Zhang Ruoxi then said loudly like a mosquito, "Yes." The middle-aged beautiful woman pursed her lips and smiled, looked at Yang Kai and said, "Look, benefactor, Ruoxi is voluntary but no one forced her." Yang Kai sighed, "Okay. If this is the case, then you will come with me." "Thank you, sir." Zhang Ruoxi saluted gracefully. "Don't worry, if I'm here one day, no one will bully you, please rest assured, old madam." Yang Kai turned to the old woman and said seriously. The old woman smiled and said, "It is Ruoxi's blessing to be able to follow Engong, and the character of Engong is trusted by my Zhang family." Yang Kai nodded, looked at Zhang Ruoxi and said, "If you have anything else to say to your family, you can say it now, I will wait for you at the front." After finishing speaking, Yang Kai flew not far away. Looking back, Zhang Ruoxi was lying in the arms of the old woman, sobbing non-stop, and the old woman kept patting her on the shoulder to comfort her, and told her something. Afterwards, Zhang Ruoxi bid farewell to the middle-aged beautiful woman and others one by one. Before leaving, she kowtowed 3 times to the place where the Zhang family was located, and then walked towards Yang Kai step by step. When she got closer, she wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes with her hands, and said in a low voice, "Sir, I'm fine." Yang Kai chuckled. "It's not like it's a farewell to life and death. I live in Fenggalan City, if you miss home in the future, you can come back and have a look at any time, I won't restrain you." Zhang Ruoxi shook her head and said, "Grandmother said, I will no longer be a member of the Zhang family in the future, don't come back if I have nothing to do, just serve my husband wholeheartedly." Yang Kai was startled, nodded and said, "The old lady has worked hard." The old woman would tell Zhang Ruoxi like this, obviously because she was afraid of making herself unhappy, but how could she know that she didn't care about these things at all, and the reason why she agreed to bring Zhang Ruoxi with her was definitely not what they thought, but this kind of thing is not easy to explain, Yang Kai is too lazy to say. Speeding all the way back, Yang Kai didn't have any good flying secret treasures, it was just a star shuttle bought in his hometown star field back then, which had long since become obsolete with his cultivation. He simply wrapped Zhang Ruoxi with his strength, and took her back to fly. Zhang Ruoxi was only at the first level of the Holy King, and had never left the Zhang family. He had never experienced such a fast flight. He was so frightened that his eyes were closed and his fists were clenched tightly, as if he was about to go to the execution ground. Seeing this, Yang Kai smiled and shook his head, but didn't say much. After a while, they came to the gate of Fenggalan City, fell down, and entered the city with Zhang Ruoxi. The little girl seems to seldom go to the city, and she has been serving the old woman in the Zhang family on weekdays. After entering the city, she looks left and right, and everything is very strange. Only then did Yang Kai realize that she was wearing plain clothes and had no jewelry on her body. Yang Kai originally wanted to add something to her, but he was afraid that she would misunderstand, so he simply gave up. All the way to the front of the cave, Yang Kai took out his identity plate, and when he was about to open the restriction of the cave, suddenly a person jumped out from the side, and hurriedly said, "Pill Master Yang, you are back." Yang Kai heard the sound and looked over there, seeing a familiar face, he couldn't help chuckling, "It's you." This person is obviously a buddy of the Spirit Pill Workshop, because Yang Kai also often goes in and out of the Spirit Pill Workshop to refine spirit pills, so he has some impressions of him. "It's the villain." The guy bowed to Yang Kai, and after getting up, he gave Zhang Ruoxi a strange look, wondering why Yang Kai brought a woman at the first level of the Saint King by his side. To be continued. Chapter 2027 Auction Conference. Chapter 2027 Auction Conference. "What are you waiting for me here?" Yang Kai looked at the buddy and asked. The shopkeeper said, "It's like this. The villain was ordered by the shopkeeper to wait here for Alchemy Yang. The shopkeeper said that he would like to invite Alchemist Yang to this auction." Auction meeting. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows, and suddenly remembered that comprehension had indeed mentioned this to him a few days ago, saying that this time the warriors of Fenggalan City got a lot of good things in the 5-color pagoda, so the city owner Duan Yuenshan I want to organize an auction conference so that everyone can exchange information. It's just that Yang Kai was shy in his pocket before, and he didn't have much interest in this, and he didn't show the intention of going, but he didn't want Saran to let someone invite him. This time, he got a lot of source crystals and good things from the Lu family. Yang Kai now has a lot of money, so it's okay to go and see. Thinking of this, Yang Kai said, "What's so good about this auction?" It made shopkeeper Kong so obsessed. Did he reveal anything? The clerk smiled mysteriously, looked left and right, leaned in front of Yang Kai and said in a low voice, "The shopkeeper said that Daoyuan fruit will appear in this auction." Really? Yang Kai was extremely surprised. That's right. That's why shopkeeper Kong is so interested in this auction, and he also wants to invite alchemist Yang to join him in gathering funds to snatch the source fruit together. I understand. Yang Kai nodded. In addition, the shopkeeper also said that among the auction items this time, there is an ancient alchemy furnace, which is at least low grade at the Daoyuan level. If Pill Master Yang can win this alchemy furnace, the success rate of alchemy and the number of alchemy produced in the future will increase. It has increased. This ancient alchemy furnace is quite attractive to alchemists. I'm somewhat interested in this. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Well, where is the auction? When will it start? The clerk smiled and said, "It will start at noon today. I have been waiting for Pill Master Yang here for 2 days. If you don't come back again, Pill Master Yang, I'm afraid I will miss it. It seems that it's just right for me to come back. How about this, you go back and tell shopkeeper Kong, I will clean up and go to find him immediately." Yes, the man replied, and retreated immediately. Although the two spoke in a low voice, Zhang Ruoxi, who was watching curiously nearby, heard a lot. After waiting for the buddy, she looked at Yang Kai in surprise and said, "Sir, you are actually an alchemist." Yang Kai said hesitantly, "I understand a little. Let's talk about it first." As he spoke, Yang Kai opened the restriction on the cave, and then brought Zhang Ruoxi into it. The cave he rented in Fenggalan City was not the best, but it was not bad either. "We'll live here in the future." He also handed her his Dongfu token to her, taught her some methods of opening and closing the prohibition, and told her that no one should open the Dongfu except herself. Zhang Ruoxi nodded naturally. "If you are bored, you can go out for a walk. The law and order in Fenggalan City is good, but don't go to the black market. The city lord's mansion doesn't care where it is, that area is more chaotic, go there with your cultivation base, it will be very dangerous." Yang Kai warned again. Ruoxi won't go anywhere, Ruoxi will just wait for her husband to come back here. Zhang Ruoxi said softly. "It's up to you, then you can rest first, I'll go out for a while." After Yang Kai gave an order, he left straight away. Zhang Ruoxi respectfully sent it off behind her back. After Yang Kai left, Zhang Ruoxi began to look around the cave, and found that although the cave was clean, it was also extremely simple. Thinking that this would be the place where she would live in the future, she thought about how to improve it. After thinking for a long time, Zhang Ruoxi suddenly pursed her lips and smiled. She had a plan in her chest, and immediately began to take out some things from the space ring and arrange them. Spirit Pill Workshop. When Yang Kai entered, someone immediately notified Saran. Not long after, Saran hurried out from the inside, grabbed Yang Kai's arm enthusiastically and said, "Pill Master Yang, you have shown up. If you don't show up again, I'm afraid you will miss this auction. Let's go, time is running out, we should go to the city lord's mansion as soon as possible." Is the auction meeting held in the city lord's mansion? Yang Kai asked in amazement. Of course it is. After all, this time is an auction organized by the city lord himself, and the location will naturally be in the city lord's mansion. I'll tell you what good things will appear on the way. He went all the way to the city lord's mansion with Saran, and listened to the inside information he inquired, and only then did Yang Kai know that although the warriors of Fenggalan City entered the 5-color pagoda this time, although there were heavy casualties, some people really got good things. Needless to say, the source fruit will definitely become the finale of the auction. There will also be several Daoyuan level secret treasures. It is heard that many Daoyuan level powerhouses from nearby forces have come to participate in the auction. Moreover, there are some miraculous medicines, lost techniques and secret techniques. In short, this auction is unprecedentedly grand, and the warriors of Maple Forest City are looking forward to it, but there are conditions to participate in the auction. After all, there are so many warriors in Maple Forest City, and even if the city lord's mansion is big, it cannot accommodate so many people. Field. To enter the auction, apart from the invitation issued by the city lord's mansion, there are only 2 kinds of people who can enter freely. One is warriors above Void King realm, and the second is warriors with strong financial resources, otherwise they are not allowed to enter the auction. And Kong Saran, as the treasurer of the Spirit Pill Workshop, often dealt with the city lord's mansion, so he had already received the invitation card, and he could bring one person into the venue with the invitation card, so Yang Kai didn't need to be checked for cultivation or financial resources. Tianwu Holy Land has put 3 Daoyuan fruits in the 5-color pagoda this time, and one will appear in the auction. I don't know who will get the remaining 2. Kong Saran has always been bitter about Daoyuan fruits. Ui was very annoyed that he didn't have this opportunity in the 5-color pagoda, but now he has to compete with others. For this source fruit, he brought almost all his savings with him, and was ready to go shopping. But he also knows that he has no hope. After all, although he is the shopkeeper of Dianfeng, how can he be on par with those sect families in terms of financial resources? If he represents the Zigen Chamber of Commerce and can get the support of the Chamber of Commerce, the situation will be completely different, but in a short period of time, where can he get the capital injection from the Zigen Chamber of Commerce? Hearing what he said, Yang Kai sniffed, but didn't answer. After all, one of the Daoyuan fruits is still in his space ring, and the third one is in the hands of who knows, and it will achieve several Daoyuan realms. The two walked while talking, and soon came to the city lord's mansion. In front of the city lord's mansion, the crowd was bustling with each other, and many warriors were scrambling to rush in. The guards of Fenggalan City were trying to maintain order. From time to time, some people flew around from the sky, scolding those who wanted to jump in line. Third-level Void Return also wants to participate in the auction. Why don't you go back and practice for a few years before coming back? What? You have source crystals. Let me see, more than 100,000 source crystals are also called source crystals. Go ahead. The sound of cursing was obviously that some warriors who did not meet the requirements wanted to get away with it, but they were caught by the guards, and they were thrown far away, and they fell into disgrace. First level Void King, I barely have the qualifications, please invite this friend. Why are you here at the third level of the Holy King to join in the fun? Believe it or not, I will slap you to death. Hey, I brought 1,000,000 source crystals, tell me earlier, you can enter. The warriors of the guard team are also very busy. Seeing that the auction is about to start, there are still countless warriors who want to enter the arena, let them be the first and the second big. Ah, it's shopkeeper Kong. Kong Saran and Yang Kai squeezed through the crowd for a long time before they came to a city lord mansion guard. The man recognized Kong Saran immediately and put on a smiling face. Shopkeeper Kong, you have to follow the rules this time. You should have an invitation, right? Of course there are. Kong Saran smiled slightly, and under the envious eyes of many warriors nearby, Shiren took out an invitation card and handed it to the guard. The guard took it, verified it was correct, and said with a smile, okay, Shopkeeper Kong, please come in. You only need to show the invitation card when you enter, and someone will come to greet you. Thank you. By the way, it's okay for Kong to bring this friend in, right? Kong Saran pointed at Yang Kai. According to the rules, there is no problem. The guard just glanced at Yang Kai and let him go. Kong Saran nodded, and both of them jumped out of the crowd with Yang Kai, and they couldn't help exhaling. Let's go, the auction will start soon. Kong Saran quickened his pace a lot as he spoke. Not long after, the two entered the city lord's mansion. After Kong Saran showed the invitation, a maid immediately led the two of them to a private room numbered Yiju. Kong Saran seemed a little surprised by this number. After all, he is considered a respectable figure in Fenggalan City. Although his cultivation base is not too strong, he has the halo of Zigen Chamber of Commerce on his body. Even the city lord, Duan Yuenshan, dare not underestimate him. But now, he was only assigned to the private room of B size. It can be seen that in the rooms with the previous numbers, there are people who are stronger or have bigger backgrounds than him. Realizing this, Kong Saran couldn't help frowning, feeling a little bad. The auction site should have been temporarily remodeled from a main hall of the city lord's mansion, and the area is rather wide. The lower hall was densely packed with people. Yang Kai scanned it roughly and felt that there were at least thousands of people, while the upper hall was filled with people. There are also hundreds of private rooms. Even so, there are still many people who failed to enter the arena. If it wasn't for Kong Saran's blessing, even if the two could enter, they would have no place to stay. At this moment, the hall was full of hustle and bustle, with countless people whispering and discussing in groups. The auction obviously hadn't started yet. Only in those 100 private rooms, it was very quiet, there was no sound at all, and the warriors below looked envious as they swept through the private rooms. Sit down. Kong Saran found a place to sit down while speaking. Yang Kai also sat down peacefully. Anyway, he has participated in several auctions. Although it is the first time in the Star Realm, he feels that they are all similar, and there is not much difference. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2028 Mo Yuding. Yang Kai and Kong Saran sat down and chatted for a short while. When they heard 3 drums and drums in the hall, a short old man with white hair and beard suddenly jumped onto the auction platform. This man was dressed very uniquely, with sloppy clothes, disheveled hair, a red rosaceous nose, and a big blue gourd hanging from his waist. At first glance, people thought it was a beggar on the street. Beggars. As soon as the old man came to the stage, he burst out laughing, lifted the big gourd on his waist as if no one else was there, lifted the lid, and poured a strong drink into his mouth. After a few gurgles, he burped loudly in front of the crowd. His eyes narrowed slightly, showing a contented expression that even if he died immediately, he would have no regrets. A scent of wine quickly overflowed. Yang Kai was dumbfounded, his eyeballs almost fell off. He has participated in several auctions in his hometown Starfield, but the hosts of those auctions were either mature and prudent, or charming and enchanting. There has never been a host as unique as the old man on the high platform. Pill Master Yang came to Fenglan City not long ago, so I'm afraid I don't know him. Kong Saran laughed loudly, and before Yang Kai could speak, he explained, this person is one of the 2 deputy city lords of Fenglan City, and his name is no one knows why, only that he calls himself a drunken man, and everyone calls him that. This person is one of the 2 deputy city lords. Isn't that Dao Origin Realm? Yang Kai was extremely surprised. That's right, he's at the first level of Dao Yuan, but it's hard to judge his specific strength. It is rumored that his real strength is no worse than City Lord Duan, and he should be able to fight at higher levels. Kong Saran said. Yang Kai nodded, and said with a smile, is it okay to let him host the auction? I think he is already drunk now. Kong Saran said with a smile. Don't look at him like this, the drunken man has a lot of popularity in Fenglan City. This person often does some things like hoeing the strong and helping the weak, donating righteousness and donating money. He is a good person. Yang Kairan nodded and said, if this is the case, then there should be no problem. At this moment, after savoring the taste of the perfect wine, the drunken man finally came back to his senses, squinted his small eyes and looked around, cupped his fists and said, who is the little old man? Most of you here must recognize it. It doesn't matter if you don't recognize him. The little old man is not here to have a blind date with you, but to preside over the auction, so you don't have to stare at the little old man, just stare at the auction items. As soon as this remark came out, many warriors in the hall laughed, and Yang Kai also thought that this person was quite interesting, and he didn't have any pretensions of a Dao Origin stage powerhouse at all. He was very peaceful and approachable. Hey, the little old man is a lazy person, so I didn't want to come to this auction, but I couldn't bear the temptation of the city lord with fine wine, and I was fooled all of a sudden. The city lord really has sinister intentions, hateful. In short, the little old man is quite impatient. Please be decisive when you are waiting to participate in the auction, otherwise the little old man won't wait. I have to go to the sun. The drunken man walked on the high platform, said quickly. Hearing what he said, many people became serious. Okay, let's stop talking nonsense, let's start the auction now. The drunken man let out a low voice, and stretched out his hand to show back. Immediately from behind the high platform, a maidservant from the city lord's mansion came up with a jade plate. On the jade plate was a pure white porcelain vase. Judging from the situation, the first auction item should undoubtedly be a elixir. 1 bottle of ancient panacea, Shen Ning Dan, 3 pieces in total, are auctioned together. The base price is 30,000 source crystals, and the price increase should not be less than 1,000 each time. Everyone please. After the drunken man finished speaking, he waited quietly. Shening pill, is it actually Shening pill? When it came up, it was Shening pill. Then how many good things will there be? It is said that after taking the Shening pill, it can temper the power of the spiritual consciousness and make the spiritual consciousness stronger. I don't know if it is true. This is a king-level high-grade panacea, and my alchemists in Fenglan City can't usually refine it. As soon as they heard that it was Shening Pill, the warriors present immediately became enthusiastic. After all, the power of spiritual consciousness is related to the safety of every warrior. If the power of spiritual consciousness is strong, it will have a miraculous effect whether it is hiding and escaping, searching or even fighting against the enemy, so this divine condensation pill is useful to any warrior. 30,000, 32,000, 35,000. There were voices of price increases in the hall one after another, and even people in the private room made a move. After a while, this bottle of Shening Pill broke through the barrier of 50,000 source crystals. It wasn't until someone shouted 60,000 source crystals that they calmed down for a while. 60,000 once, twice, 3 times, okay, this bottle of Shening Pill belongs to the friend who bid just now, please take Qi Yuanjing to the backstage to deliver, next one. The drunken man who had been standing on the high platform with his eyes closed and resting his mind suddenly finalized the deal very quickly, and went directly to the auction of the next item without giving anyone else a chance to react. This, too fast. Is this an auction or is it forced to buy and give away? Senior drunkard's behavior is really unexpected. There was an uproar in the hall, and there was a lot of discussion. I don't think any warrior has experienced such an auction. In the past auctions, every warrior who presided over the auction would ask again and again if there is a higher price, lest the auction item sell. Not a good price, but the drunken man didn't seem to care about it at all. He just wanted to finish hosting this auction early, and then go to bed and bask in the sun. For a moment, the warriors who had hesitated to increase the price before were extremely annoyed, but the guy who finally got the bid of 60,000 stood up from his seat with a happy face, as if he had picked up some big bargains, and rushed towards the backstage, obviously preparing to deliver the property. After experiencing the drunken man's quick temper, the enthusiasm of every martial artist in the next auction was mobilized. Whenever he met what he wanted, he would never hesitate again, and the price increase was faster and faster. Before it was his turn to bid, he let the drunken man finalize the price of the auction item. As a result, the speed of the auction conference suddenly became extremely fast. In less than half an hour, more than 40 items were auctioned. This is completely impossible in the auction that Yang Kai experienced before. Pills, secret treasures, exercises, and secret techniques appeared one by one. Some of them were put into the auction by the warriors themselves, but most of them were brought out from the 5-color pagoda. These relics from the ancient battlefield naturally caused a lot of people to loot them, and the atmosphere of the entire auction site was extremely hot. Yang Kai also roughly understood the prices of these items. An ordinary Daoyuan level secret treasure costs 7 to 800,000 source crystals. If the grade is slightly higher, it is normal to have millions of dollars. He thought that he had millions of source crystals as a base, and he had some confidence, but now it seems, he is still poor. Daoyuan level low grade, Huban armor, 1.8 million once, twice, 3 times. Friends who bid, please bring the source crystal to the backstage to deliver the item. Come and see the next auction item. The drunkard finished, and stood aside again, motionless. From the backstage, a maid came out, dragging a mysterious auction object on a jade plate in her hand. The object was covered by a red cloth, making it difficult to see its true appearance, except that it was about half a foot high. And when the maid came closer, the drunken man suddenly smiled, looked down meaningfully and said, "This auction item is extremely precious, and it should have been auctioned as the finale, but after the little old man's strong at the request, it appeared ahead of time. Presumably many people have already guessed what it is, so, let's start." After speaking, he lifted the red cloth on the jade plate, and immediately, the true appearance of the auction item was revealed to everyone. It was a furnace tripod, which could be lifted with one hand. The furnace tripod showed a green color, and the carvings of dragons and phoenixes around it looked extremely extraordinary. A desolate and ancient atmosphere permeated from the furnace tripod. The drunken man picked up the cauldron with one hand, and said with a smile, "What kind of material is this inked jade cauldron made of?" The little old man and the city lord have studied it for many days, but they can't judge it. They only know that it is an alchemy furnace. And it's an alchemy furnace of Daoyuan level mid-grade. The alchemy furnace of Daoyuan level mid-grade. There was a sudden exclamation from below. Although there are many good things and countless secret treasures in this auction, there are still very few of Daoyuan middle grade and above. In particular, this thing is still an alchemy furnace, and its characteristics will naturally cause alchemists to loot it. Alchemists are all extremely wealthy, and a good alchemy furnace can often make alchemists go bankrupt and fight for it. What's more, the major sects and families have always been committed to cultivating their own alchemists, so this Daoyuan level middle-grade alchemy furnace will definitely make them tempted. With a good alchemy furnace, alchemists can not only improve their chances of making alchemy and producing alchemy, but they are also more likely to refine elixir that cannot be refined normally. In this way, the value of the alchemy furnace can be imagined. Even Yang Kai, who had never made a move, couldn't help but look hot when he saw this alchemy furnace, and shot his divine sense to the high platform to investigate carefully. There are not a few people who do the same thing as him. Countless spiritual thoughts poured in from all directions in the auction hall and merged together, making it very lively. Pill Master Yang wants this alchemy furnace? Saran asked with a slight smile after observing his words. I have some ideas, but... Yang Kai shook his head with a wry smile, I probably can't grab it. Saran pondered for a while, and said, if you don't grab it, how do you know you won't be able to? Let's do this, Pill Master Yang and the others will go ahead, if the source crystals are not enough, Kong will lend you. Let's see when the time comes. Yang Kai was noncommittal. Although he knew that Saran had brought a lot of source crystals over this time, but the other party was here to fight for that one source of source crystals. If he was delayed because of his own affairs, Yang Kai would feel sorry. Although he likes the alchemy furnace, he doesn't have to. To be continued. Chapter 2029 Soaring All the Way. Chapter 2029 Soaring All the Way. Everyone is optimistic about it. Well, although the little old man is not an alchemist, but because the cultivation method is the fire system, he can also stimulate the power of this alchemy furnace a little bit. How about this? The little old man will demonstrate it for you. Take a moment, how strange this thing is. While the drunken man was speaking, he suddenly threw the black jade cauldron that he had been holding in his hand, and quickly picked up the spirit art. Accompanied by his streams of pure source power pouring into the inked jade cauldron, the small inked jade cauldron opened up against the wind, and soon became a tall man, and fell heavily on the high platform, making a sound of hitting the ground. There was a sound. After the pill furnace got bigger, the complex pattern on it also became clearer. Not only that, but under the scanning of everyone's spiritual thoughts, you can even see the inside of the alchemy furnace, with 4 dragon heads inlaid, and the brilliance flowing inside the furnace cauldron, making people look dazzled. The master who made this furnace is definitely a strange person. He carved countless spirit formations in this alchemy furnace, which can be used for alchemy. If someone can figure out the details, there is no need to carve the spirit formation by himself in alchemy in the future. He only needs to stimulate the alchemy. It is enough to have it in the furnace. Moreover, the design of the 4 faucets in the alchemy furnace allows the alchemist to control the temperature of the fire very well, and there are also some magical functions. Everyone look forward to it. While the drunken man was talking, he suddenly lifted his gourd and took a gulp of strong wine. Immediately, his already rosy face became even more flushed. He slapped his chest and opened his mouth to spit on the black jade cauldron. A fire dragon spewed out from its mouth. The fire dragon shook its head and tail, hit the black jade tripod like a rock sinking into the sea, plunged into it and disappeared. The drunken man pinched his Lingju again, with a mysterious smile hanging from the corner of his mouth. Suddenly, a raging flame spewed out from a faucet in the cauldron. The flame seemed to be extremely hot, but it actually showed a faint blue color, and with the drunken man's control, the flame could also become larger or smaller. Then, the second faucet also sprayed out flames, followed by the third, and the fourth. Drunkard Fahue put it away, stood beside him and didn't move. But the flame in the cauldron did not go out, but continued to burn, and it seemed that it would last for a long time. How can this pill furnace store energy? Someone with knowledge saw the trick all of a sudden. Exactly. This friend has a sharp eye. The drunkard laughed loudly. The little old man didn't use much power just now, and it was only a normal blow in conversion, but it was this kind of power poured into the cauldron. In the middle, it is enough to let it burn for half a day, and once the fire is controlled, it will definitely not change again. In this way, everyone probably knows how much help this is for alchemists, right? After the drunken man finished speaking, there was a sudden commotion in the hall. Although he didn't explain it clearly, the warriors present basically understood the preciousness of this pill furnace. When an alchemist is refining alchemy, he needs to observe the changes of medicinal materials all the time, control the temperature of the fire at all times, pour power into the alchemy furnace, and cannot leave an inch. But it will be different if there is this black jade cauldron. The alchemist only needs to set a certain temperature and pour enough energy into it. In the next period of time, the alchemy furnace will always maintain that state. Alchemists can take advantage of this time to recover. In the process of alchemy, alchemists often fail because the strength in their bodies cannot be sustained. But with this Mo Yu Ding, there is no need to worry about this problem at all. In addition to possessing the various abilities of ordinary alchemy furnaces, it also has its own characteristics, and it also has the grade of Daoyuan middle grade. It is so valuable that in the eyes of alchemists, it is no less than an emperor treasure. The time is limited, so I won't show you the other features of the pill furnace one by one, but I can guarantee that if any alchemist can have this thing, it will be able to refine pills by one level. As soon as this statement came out, countless people gasped. The advancement of alchemists is more difficult than the advancement of warriors, especially the advancement of large realms. Many alchemists are stuck at the top of the virtual king level and cannot advance an inch in their lives. However, according to the drunken man, as long as there is Mo Yu Ding, a void king level alchemist has the opportunity to refine Daoyuan level elixir, and even the probability of becoming an elixir is not too low. All kinds of temptations and benefits not only made the big alchemists present excited, but also made the representatives of the sect families look hot. Daoyuan grade mid-grade alchemy furnace, black jade cauldron, starting price is 1 million source crystals, and the price increase should not be less than 50,000 each time, please. Drunk Wang Lang shouted and walked aside with a smile. The starting price is 1 million. Yang Kai couldn't help but twitch his mouth when he heard this. He saw the hype that the drunken man said just now, so he was naturally a little tempted by Mo Yu Ding. The alchemy furnace in his hand is still the Zixu cauldron he obtained from the Emperor's garden when he went deep into the Emperor's garden. He has been with him until now, but compared with the Mo Yu Ding, the Zixu Ding is not on the same level. But the starting price of 1 million still made Yang Kai smile bitterly. The source crystal in his hand is only more than 1 million yuan, which is probably only enough to call the starting price. This inked jade cauldron is so miraculous. Saran seemed a little surprised. Although he was able to obtain some information in advance by relying on his good relationship with the city lord's mansion, he obviously didn't know much about this Mo Yu cauldron. After hearing the drunken man's words, he couldn't help but become serious. If this elixir furnace can be photographed, the production of elixir in the elixir workshop will definitely increase a lot in the future. As the person in charge here, his performance will also improve. Maybe one day he will be rewarded by the head of the Chamber of Commerce, promoted. But when he thought of the Daoyuan fruit in the finale, Saran was tangled up again. He turned his head and glanced at Yang Kai, seeing that Yang Kai was also smiling wryly, he said in astonishment, "Pill Master Yang, aren't you going to bid?" "No, let's watch the excitement." Yang Kai shook his head slowly. Saran understood it, so he nodded and said nothing more. While the two were talking for a while, the auction had already started, but the strange thing was that no one bid, and the hall was very quiet. Obviously, everyone was waiting for others to make a bid, and we had to check the market before proceeding. For a moment, the atmosphere at the auction site was extremely strange. If someone else were to preside over the auction, they would probably not be in a hurry, but would wait with confidence. After all, good things are not afraid that no one will want them, but this time the one presiding over the auction is a drunk. After waiting for quite a while, seeing no bids, the drunken man couldn't help grinning and said, "It seems that the first unsold item in this auction is about to be born. If that's the case, then..." "Wait, Lord Deputy City Master, you are too impatient, aren't you?" A man's voice came from a certain private room immediately. "Then why don't you make a bid? If you don't bid, the little old man will buy it himself. When he resells it later, he will definitely make a lot of money." The drunkard looked over there with a smile. Hearing what he said, many people couldn't help rolling their eyes. The person hosting the auction actually wants to participate in the auction. They have never experienced this kind of thing, and they have never even heard of it. Only a drunkard can say it. "Okay, since all of you friends are so reserved, I'll offer $1 million to attract Jade." The man in the private room said helplessly. 1 million is too little, 1.5 million, I want this black jade cauldron from the Du family. How dare a lion open his mouth for 1.5 million? It's ridiculous. My Zhang family offered 1.8 million. Since that's the case, let my Qin family join in the fun, 2 million. Immediately after the first bid, someone raised the bid one after another, and the bidders all represented the families behind them. Thinking about it, it is true that such a huge amount of source crystals cannot be produced by ordinary warriors, and only Zongman families can afford it. All of a sudden, all the wing rooms enthusiastically participated in the auction. Seeing this, the drunkard smiled and said nothing more, picked up the big gourd, and drank it on his own. The several big families had been fighting openly and secretly in Fenggalan City, and now this Moyu Ding looked like a good thing that could help the family improve their strength, so naturally no one wanted to let it go. In just 30 breaths of time, the price of this inked jade cauldron was raised to 2.7 million, and it was still soaring. No one wanted to quit. After another half a cup of tea, the price of the Moyu Ding has reached more than 4 million. Until this time, several families have stopped talking. Obviously, this price has reached the limit of their tolerance. Although Moyu Ding is good, but the Daoyuan fruit that is the finale can directly achieve the Daoyuan state. In comparison, those people can only reluctantly give up. By this time, Yang Kai has completely become a spectator. If the auction started at $1 million before, he still has some thoughts, considering whether he can sell some of his own things to make up for the source crystal, then he has not reported it now, hoped. My Zhang family is bound to win the Moyu Ding, so I would like to ask you all for your convenience, 4.1 million. In the Zhang family's wing room, a man's voice full of aura came out. The others fell silent as expected. Many people did not dare to continue to compete with the Zhang family. After all, the Zhang family is not weak in Fenggalan City, and the few families who dared to compete with the Zhang family were also unable to compete with the Zhang family because of the large number of source crystals. Don't give up. Seeing this, the Zhang family member who spoke out was overjoyed and said, Master Deputy City Master, can you? Before he finished speaking, a charming voice suddenly sounded, Master Zhang, don't be in such a hurry, the younger sister hasn't bid yet, well, just offer 4.2 million. As soon as the words came out, a man with thick eyebrows and big eyes flashed coldly in the Zhang family's wing, looked towards the source of the voice, and said in a low voice, Master Zhou. At the same time, Kong Saran snorted coldly, Zhou Ningxi. This bitch really couldn't hold back and wanted to make a move. As each other's deadly rivals, Kong Saran naturally recognized who the owner of that charming voice was, and it was Zhou Ningxi, the treasurer of Pill Artifact Pavilion who poached his corner before. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2030 A Panacea. Yang Kai also dealt with Zhou Ningxi once, and it was when he went to the Spirit Pill Workshop to sign the soul contract with Kong Saran that day. Zhou Ningxi wanted to win him over, but he refused. Yang Kai naturally had some impressions of this charming woman. It was reasonable for her to bid for the inked jade cauldron. After all, she was the treasurer of the Pill Artifact Pavilion, so it would be of great use to buy this inked jade cauldron back home. As soon as Kong Saran heard that it was Zhou Ningxi who was bidding, he immediately became furious, as if he was recalling all kinds of grievances 2 months ago, which made him feel angry. On the other side, after identifying Zhou Ningxi's identity, the man with thick eyebrows and big eyes from the Zhang family couldn't help frowning, and said, Master Zhou, my Zhang family and Guizhi also cooperate a lot, and we have a lot of friendship with each other. Why is this necessary? Zhou Ningxi chuckled and said, Uncle Yang's words are naturally true, but friendship is friendship, and business is business. Now that the younger sister is happy to see Lai Xin, she naturally wants to make a price. Why don't you be more generous with Uncle Zhang? How about the Mo Yuding let you Xiaomei? If so, Xiaomei will host a banquet tonight to treat Uncle Zhang well. Heck, I just don't know if you have the guts to come. In front of these thousands of warriors, she blatantly seduced that warrior from the Zhang family. As soon as the words came out, many warriors in the hall booed continuously. Bitch. Kong Saran also had a face full of righteous indignation, quite disdainful of Zhou Ningxi's debauchery. In the Zhang family's private room, the man with thick eyebrows and big eyes snorted coldly, unmoved at all, and said indifferently, it seems that shopkeeper Zhou is going to fight against my Zhang family. Hey, how dare the slaves? After this incident, the slaves will definitely come to apologize to the Zhang family in person, but it is absolutely impossible for the slaves to give up this inked jade cauldron. It was full of grievances, and people couldn't help feeling pity when they heard it, and couldn't bear to blame her, but the last sentence was extremely firm, as if there was some unavoidable difficulty. The man from the Zhang family snorted coldly, since that's the case, then let's see the truth, 4.3 million. Zhou Ningxi pursed her lips and smiled, and said without flinching, 4.4 million. Before the Zhang family had time to increase the price, another voice came from another wing, 4.5 million. The man from the Zhang family was stunned for a moment. Zhou Ningxi was also stunned for a moment, but Yang Kai, who was sitting in the private room, no yes. It was Kong Saran who made a bid earlier and joined the competition. Kong Saran smiled and said, "Pat casually, discuss that bastard." Yang Kai suddenly nodded. "I don't know who killed it halfway. It turned out to be shopkeeper Kong." "Why, you are still in good health," Zhou Ningxi said with a gun and a stick, teasing for a while. Kong Saran laughed and said, Toffle, it's not bad. It turns out to be shopkeeper Kong." The man from the Zhang family obviously recognized Kong Saran's voice, and said with a smile, "Since both of your two chambers of commerce are interested in this pill furnace, then my Zhang family has no choice but to withdraw. It is not the opponent of your two major chambers of commerce." He obviously misunderstood that both Zhou Ningxi and Kong Saran's bids represented the chamber of commerce behind him, so he immediately retreated bravely and stood up wisely. For the sake of Mo Yuding, offending Zhou Ningxi is still acceptable, but if the two chambers of commerce offend together, that's not what the Zhang family wanted to see. But he didn't know at all that Kong Saran was just bidding maliciously. As for whether Zhou Ningxi represented Qiao Chamber of Commerce, only she knew. Accepted. Seeing that he misunderstood, Kong Saran didn't explain much, but just cupped his fists towards Yao Yao. Zhou Ningxi said, "Shopkeeper Kong, now there are only two of us left. I don't know what the bottom line of Shopkeeper Kong is. No comment, you just bid. If you don't bid, this ink jade cauldron will belong to the old man." Kong Saran snorted coldly. Zhou Ningxi took a soft nail, looked annoyed, and stopped paying attention to Kong Saran, and bid again. For a while, Mo Yuding was only competing between the two of them, and each price increase started from 100,000, and the price soared all the way to 5 million. At this time, Kong Saran smiled, and said openly, "Since the shopkeeper Zhou is so persistent, the old man has no choice but to bow down." Well, the old man quits. Damn old ghost. From the wing where Zhou Ningxi was, came her gnashing of teeth and cursing. Although the voice was not loud, it was still heard, and many people could hear it clearly. Kong Saran laughed out loud, with a relaxed expression on his face, as if he had taken revenge. On the high platform, seeing this, the drunken man smiled lightly, took 2 steps forward, and was about to announce the ownership of the ink jade cauldron, when he heard a man's voice from a private room in Jiazi, "You guys are all over now. Now that you guys are done, then, 6 million. As soon as this remark came out, the entire auction hall suddenly fell silent, and even the drunken man who had walked a few steps forward stopped, and looked towards the source of the sound in astonishment. And Zhou Ningxi, who thought she won the final victory, was stunned for a moment, and then her eyes shrank sharply, and her pretty face twisted. 6 million. Did I hear correctly? Who is this guy? 1 million source crystals will be added to the price. Is he crazy? Shish, keep your voice down. This person is in the private room of Jiazi. He must be a strong man of Daoyuan. If he hears you, you will die. So what about Daoyuanjing? His source crystal is not source crystal. 1 million, if it is given to me. After being quiet for a while, the hall suddenly became noisy, and the warriors were whispering among themselves. After all, it is really scary to increase the price by 1 million source crystals all at once. After pondering for a while, the drunken man seemed to understand the identity of the person who offered the price, and there was a hint of fear in his brows, and he stepped back a little again, standing there quietly. Among those present, Zhou Ningxi was in the worst mood. After all, she was about to pick the fruits of victory, but another troublemaker appeared on the way. Anyone who encountered such a thing would not be in a good mood. Although she only has the 3rd level cultivation of the Void King, she represents the 7 luminaries chamber of commerce after all, so after a moment of silence, she asked in a cold voice, "Dare to ask your excellency Gao's name?" The bidder in the Jiazi room didn't intend to answer her. Zhou Ningxi said angrily, "Hide your head and show your tail, don't you dare to show your name." After saying this, the bidder finally sneered, "It's a joke, I'm just participating in the auction, why? You have to declare your name before bidding. Which auction has this rule? Your Excellency, Deputy City Lord, will there be such a rule in the Fenggalan City auction?" He asked the last sentence to the drunkard. The drunken man frowned when he heard the words, cupped his fists after thinking for a while and said, "My friend was joking, naturally there is no such rule in the auction in Fenggalan City." That's it, shopkeeper Joe, because you are a member of Kiao Chamber of Commerce, I don't have the same knowledge as you, if you still dare to speak presumptuously, don't blame me for being ruthless. The air diffused out of the private room of Jiazi, directly sweeping over Zhou Ningxi's body. Zhou Ningxi couldn't help turning pale, and immediately realized that the other party didn't sell her money at all, and if she kept pestering her, she might really anger the other party. And judging from the strength of the previous divine sense, it seems that the opponent is not a strong man at the first level of Daoyuan but a second-level Daoyuan. Duan Yuanshan, the city lord of Fenggalan City, is only at the second level of Daoyuan, and he is already the overlord with a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. This person does not know where he came from, and he has the strength comparable to Duan Yuanshan. Even if Zhou Ningxi was covered with a halo of the Seven Luminaries Chamber of Commerce, with the strength of this person's cultivation, she could kill Zhou Ningxi without anyone noticing. After realizing this, Zhou Ningxi forced a smile and said, "Since Senior is interested in this ink jade cauldron, I have no choice but to give up. Congratulations to Senior." Not to mention the price of 6 million source crystals, which has already exceeded Zhou Ningxi's tolerance, but this person's temperament is also extremely perverse. If he continues to compete with him, he will definitely have nothing good to eat. Zhou Ningxi assesses the situation and naturally he didn't dare to open his mouth to bid, but quit after saying a few words on the scene. No one expected that the Moyu Ding, which was fought over by many families before, would eventually fall into the hands of a mysterious person who only offered the price once, but the price of 6 million per byte did have this ability. After the drunkard came to the stage and made 3 countdowns, the ownership of the ink jade tripod was settled. I didn't expect it. A Moyu cauldron is already 6 million, and the Daoyuan fruit behind it. Kong Saran's face was slumped, although he brought a lot of source crystals this time, but at this moment, it seemed that Dao Yuengguo might not have any share with him, so he couldn't help feeling a little disheartened. Yang Kai didn't know how to comfort him, so he could only keep silent. The next thing that will be auctioned is a panacea. On the high platform, the drunken man smiled with a mysterious expression on his face. As for the panacea, please let the little old man keep a close eye on you. While he was talking, naturally a maid had already presented the auction item. After he lifted the covering red cloth, everyone saw a navy blue panacea about the size of a longan lying quietly on the jade plate. The panacea was not stored in a jade bottle either, and it seemed that he was not worried about the loss of the medicine's effect at all. And the sharp-eyed martial artist exclaimed the moment he saw the elixir, "Pill pattern. It's the elixir that gave birth to the elixir pattern." "What? Let me see." "Hiss, it's really a pill pattern, so that's what the pill pattern looks like." "More than that, you see, this panacea seems to have been around for a while, could it be?" Many warriors below were talking about it, and the drunken man on the stage was all smiles, as if he was very satisfied with the effect. Although some spirit pills appeared in the previous auction, none of them had pill patterns, and this one was the first one. Moreover, many warriors have never even seen a spirit pill with pill patterns, so they naturally feel extremely strange for a while, and their eyes can't stop. To be continued. Chapter 2031 Shot. Master Deputy City Master, may I ask if this panacea was brought out from the 5-color pagoda? Someone from the audience shouted and asked. The drunken man smiled, nodded and said, "That's right. Moreover, this panacea is not the panacea that those big sects put in before, but the real ancient panacea. You have also seen it, because of the existence of the pill pattern, so the efficacy of this panacea has been well preserved, otherwise, after so many years, even the most powerful panacea would have already been reduced to ashes." After the panacea is refined, jade bottles are usually used to preserve the efficacy of the medicine to hinder the passage of the medicine's efficacy. But no matter how advanced the panacea is, as time goes by, the efficacy of the medicine will disappear completely, and it will eventually become waste. But if the pill produces pill patterns, there is no need to worry about this problem at all. Pill patterns can absorb the spiritual energy of the world on their own, thus maintaining the efficacy of the medicine. And the pill cloud above the pill pattern is even more serious. The panacea with the pill cloud can increase its efficacy step by step with the passage of time. The longer the time, the more terrifying the effect of the medicine. If there is a virtual king-level panacea that produces pill clouds during refining, and after thousands of years of precipitation, the medicinal effect contained inside may not even be comparable to the emperor-level panacea. Yang Kai has such a panacea in his hand. Back then when he obtained the Zixu cauldron in the Emperor Garden, there was a Longyan Zuan pill that gave birth to Danyan in the cauldron, which was refined by the owner of the true explanation of the Tao of alchemy. Staying in the purple void cauldron, was eventually picked up by Yang Kai. The Emperor Garden had been silent for tens of thousands of years at that time, and this Longyan Zuan pill was also nourished by Danyan for tens of thousands of years. Therefore, even though it is only at the middle grade level of the Void King, the medicinal power contained in it may not even be comparable to the Emperor level elixir. Such a panacea would be of great use even to Emperor's senior realm. The reason why Yang Kai didn't dare to take it all the time was because he was worried that the medicine was too strong and he couldn't bear it, so he kept it until now. He dare not say that there is only one such panacea in the world, but there will never be more than 10 pieces. One can imagine how precious it is. Even with Yang Kai's current strength, he didn't dare to take that Longyan Zuan pill easily. You can only wait until the strength is improved in the future. See if you can bear the medicine in it. Vice City Master, what grade is this panacea, and what is its use? The martial artist below asked, and this was exactly what everyone was concerned about. The drunkard smiled slightly, said, "You don't ask this question. The little old man is about to explain it." After several days of research by many masters in this city and some alchemists, the final result is that this panacea is Daoyuan level middle grade panacea. And its effect is also very attractive. Hearing what the drunken man said, the warriors below suddenly regained their spirits, and looked up to the stage expectantly. What was the exact name of this panacea in ancient times? No one knows. The formula for refining it has long been lost. The city lord named it Leopard Jexi Pill. What is the specific purpose? Hey, just listen to the name. Now that I know it, it is natural to be able to cleanse the marrow and change the tendons, regenerate people, and improve the martial artist's cultivation qualifications. As soon as the drunkard's words fell, many martial artists in the audience exclaimed in surprise, and their gazes looking at the leopard's Xie Sui pill became fiery and violent. Even the powerhouses in the private rooms all released their spiritual thoughts one after another to investigate that elixir. No wonder everyone suddenly reacted like this. How wonderful is the panacea that can cleanse the marrow and change the tendons, and improve the cultivation qualification. At the very least, apart from a few panaceas that only appear in rumors, there is no such thing in the star world. But this Leopard Jexi pill has such a heaven-defying effect. No one despises their good aptitude, everyone wants to go to the next level. Why some Void King third layer realms have not been able to break through to the Daoyuan realm? Some may be due to practicing exercises, or injuries, or various other reasons. But most of them are due to insufficient qualifications. If you can improve your aptitude a bit, you might be able to reborn and easily enter the level of Daoyuanjing. And the Leopard Jexi pill in front of him is obviously such a thing, so it is naturally coveted. That's not right, Vice City Lord. A man's voice suddenly came from a private room. It was the man from the Zhang family who had bid many times before and participated in the auction. If this panacea really has such a miraculous effect, how could anyone are you willing to take it up for auction instead of taking it yourself? Zhang believes that any warrior with a little brain would not make such a choice. Mr. Deputy City Master, is there anything wrong with this panacea? Quote. Hearing this, those fiery-eyed martial artists before were startled, and secretly felt that what the Zhang family said was very reasonable. If the effect of Leopard Jia Zisui pill was really so miraculous, which fool would put it up for auction? It can even be said that Duan Yuenshan, the city lord, will take it privately. It's just that the beauty described by the drunken man made people ignore this concern subconsciously. Now that the man from Yang's family reminded them, they all came to their senses and asked one by one in a hurry, asking the drunken man to explain clearly. The drunken man glanced at Yang's private room, and said with a hasty smile, "Brother Zhang, that's a good question. Although this Leopard Jexi pill is magical enough, it does have a lot of drawbacks." "Oh, I would like to hear more about it," the Zhang family man said in a deep voice. First, although this panacea is indeed able to cleanse the marrow of the Book of Changes, it can only be used on warriors at the Saint King realm and below the Saint King realm. Taking it above the Saint King realm will have no effect. Second, its effect will only last until the person who takes it has cultivated to the level of the Void King realm. Once the person who takes it breaks through to the Void King realm, then he will be beaten back to his original shape and return to his original aptitude. Of course, except for these 2 points besides, there is no harm in this panacea, and there will be no side effects after taking it, please rest assured on this point. There is such a strange panacea in the world. The Zhang family man was stunned. The drunken man smiled and said, "Who can tell clearly about the ancient things? The little old man doesn't know why such a panacea was born in ancient times, but there are so many talented people in the world who have researched such a panacea. Not surprising. Zhang understands. Thank you, Vice City Lord, for your answer." It doesn't matter, this is what the little old man should say. Now that everyone has understood the purpose of the leopard jexi pill, the auction will start now. The base price is 100,000 source crystals, and each increase must not be less than 5,000. Quote. 100,000, 105,000, 120,000. Although there are many restrictions on the use of this leopard jexi pill, not only is it useless for warriors above the Saint King realm, but also their aptitude will return to their original form after they are promoted to the Void King realm level, but it still caused many people to worry. Interest. Without him, the warriors who came to participate in the auction all have their own juniors or heirs. Although they are useless, they can be used by future generations. There are two major levels from Saint King realm to Void King realm. If you can improve your aptitude, you can also greatly shorten the training time. However, its various restrictions are destined to not have a high price. The bidding price also soared along with the quotations of many warriors, and soon exceeded the 200,000 mark. In the private room No. B9, Yang Kai's expression changed, and he began to bid. Kong Saran looked at him in astonishment, and asked, "Pill Master Yang, do any of your friends need this thing?" Yang Kai pondered for a moment, nodded and said, "That's right, and, come to participate in an auction, you can't come back empty-handed." "It's true." Kong Saran nodded and said, "In the previous auction, he also bought a few things that were useful to him, and the prices were not high, but Yang Kai has been holding back. Pill Master Yang, feel free to bid. If you don't have enough source crystals, I'll have them here." Kong Saran said generously. "Then thank shopkeeper Kong first." Yang Kai smiled slightly and continued to quote, 250,000. The reason why he participated in the auction of this leopard jexi pill was naturally for Zhang Ruoxi. This little girl from the Zhang family happened to be at the first level of the Saint King, and could take the leopard jexi pill. Although he doesn't have much friendship with this little girl, and he doesn't have much affection, but after all, he wants to use her to unlock the secrets on the ethereal jade disc. Maybe he will be with Zhang Ruoxi for a long time in the future, so that she grew up quickly and lightened her burden a little. The most important thing is that Yang Kai himself has other plans for her, and it is inconvenient to say so. He just wants to use this method to make up for it a little bit, and alleviate the guilt in his heart. As prices soared, the number of bidders dwindled. Although this thing is rare, after all, I don't need it. Except for some warriors who are interested in cultivating future generations, all others have already withdrawn. Until Yang Kai quoted 300,000 yuan, only the last woman was left to compete with him, and that woman was sitting in the hall. She didn't look too rich, she only had the cultivation base of Void King second order. She struggled for a while before continuing to increase the price. Yang Kai naturally won't give up. After Yang Kai called out the price of 320,000 yuan, the woman finally sighed and seemed to give up. Seeing this, the drunken man immediately walked up to the high platform and said, "1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 320,000, please bidders come to the backstage to hand over the property." Yang Kai smiled when he heard the words, stood up, and said to Kong Saran, "I'll come when I go. As soon as Pill Master Yang, Dao Yuanguo will appear soon." Kong Saran looked expectantly at the high platform. Yang Kai nodded, walked out of the side room, came to the backstage, paid 320,000 source crystals, and finally got the leopard jexi pill. Spending so much source crystals to buy a elixir is really not a good deal for Yang Kai today. After all, the price is equivalent to 1/3 of the source crystals in his hand, and it is not something he uses. But in the long run, it's okay. Moreover, Yang Kai can also study the composition of this leopard jexi pill. If he can figure out its pill formula, it would be great. This is also a lost panacea in ancient times. If he can really make the pill recipe after scrutiny, Yang Kai can completely refine this kind of panacea to sell in the future, and I believe that he will definitely make a lot of money by then. To be continued. Enlightenment Book Network, Chapter 2032 Surprised by Flowing Flame. When Yang Kai returned to the wing room again, it seemed that another auction item had settled down, and he didn't know who it was. The Daoyuan fruit that hasn't reached the finale yet? Yang Kai asked in astonishment after taking his seat. Saran shook his head and said with a wry smile, "This auction seems to have a lot of items, but it should be coming soon." Kai nodded slightly, stopped talking, and turned his gaze to the high platform. On the high platform, the drunkard once again showed a mysterious smile, looked around, and said loudly, "The auction items that will be displayed next are not trivial, and they are also extremely rare. A friend submitted it temporarily. Although it is a bit of a violation of the rules to do so, it is indeed worth participating in the auction after being appraised by the city lord, so it is approved for auction. Friends who have fire-type secret treasures, please pay attention." As he said this, he gestured backwards, and immediately a maidservant walked up to the high platform holding what looked like a round bowl in both hands. In the auction house, countless warriors looked at the round bowl with curiosity, especially those warriors who had practiced fire-type kung fu or had fire-type secret treasures. They were all very interested. The round bowl looked like a forbidden secret treasure, with bursts of forbidden light shining on it, and occasionally there were runes the size of rice grains floating on it, as dexterous as a live fish. Most of the warriors present had extraordinary eyesight, so they could tell at once that what was being auctioned was not the round bowl, but the contents of the round bowl. "Interesting, I don't know what is sealed inside." Saran smiled slightly, and also focused on it. Kai frowned the moment the round bowl appeared. For some reason, he always felt an inexplicable induction connected with his mind coming from the round bowl, but because of the many restraining forces on the round bowl, this induction became insignificant and almost undetectable. There were bursts of throbbing and anxiety in his heart, and even he wasn't sure. Kai used his divine sense to investigate, but he couldn't break through the restraining force to investigate the internal situation clearly. He didn't dare to use force, so he could only frown constantly. "Pill Master Yang, do you know what's inside?" Seeing that Kai's expression was wrong, Saran asked a little strangely. Kai shook his head subconsciously, but his eyes were fixed on the round bowl. At this moment, the drunken man on the high platform has already begun to explain. This auction item was entrusted for auction by a friend of Daoyuan level, because this friend is practicing water-type exercises, which happen to be incompatible with this item, so we have to reluctantly give up, otherwise, he will not take it out. "Master Deputy City Lord, don't be a fool, this is not in line with your character," an impatient warrior in the audience urged. The drunken man laughed for a while, nodded and said, "Yes, the little old man is impatient, and it is really not suitable for such slow moving. But what should be said is still to be said, and everyone knows that in Fenglan City a few months ago, there was a rumor that a fire-type weapon spirit appeared in the nearby Yuqing mountain, which attracted many warriors to investigate, and it was finally confirmed that it was not a fire-type weapon spirit, but a descendant of a phoenix. My warriors in Fenglan City fought for this phoenix. The descendants suffered many casualties, but none of them succeeded, and finally attracted the appearance of the holy spirit Dianfeng, with a mouthful of black flames that could destroy the world, and Yuqing mountain is still burning. The power of the holy spirit is really terrifying." He sighed for a while, as if he really saw the world destroying black flame with his own eyes. "Vice City Master, could it be that the item for this auction is actually a descendant of the holy spirit?" Hearing what the drunken man said, the martial artist below immediately began to guess excitedly. There were not a few people who thought this way, and in an instant, many warriors were short of breath, and all of them stared at the round bowl with fiery eyes. The drunken man sneered, "Descendants of the Holy Spirit? You really dare to think, if there are descendants of the Holy Spirit here, don't say whether you dare to bid for the auction. I will not auction it in Fenglan City, in case any Holy Spirit is offended. The status quo of Yuqing Mountain is the fate of my Fenglan City. When the people will die, who can take this responsibility?" As soon as this remark came out, many people fought a cold war. Thinking about it carefully, who would have the guts to auction off the descendants of the Holy Spirit? This is simply not fatal. "The city lord, what did you just say?" The drunken man curled his lips and said, "The point is not the descendant of the Holy Spirit, but the fire weapon spirit. I really don't know how you people listen. Well, the old man will let you see. What is the auction item this time?" "What is it?" While speaking, he pinched the Ling Ju with his hand and kept hitting the round bowl. Along with the flickering of the prohibition on the round bowl, a clear and crisp bird song suddenly came out from the round bowl, and then, a fiery red light shot out of it. The chalk shoots out. Whoo, a sound. On the high platform, a strange bird about 2 feet in length suddenly appeared, and its whole body was like a burning flame. The strange bird looked somewhat similar to the Holy Spirit Phoenix, but also somewhat different. Purple lightning arcs flickered and danced. This strange bird actually possesses the two powers of thunder and fire. Moreover, the aura emanating from its body is also extraordinary. It has already reached the level of the Void King's third layer, the body made of flames, the majestic steed, the plump wings, and the beauty of the body. It raised its head and screamed, and there was a stubbornness, anger and unyielding in the voice. Luyan. In the private room no. B9, Yang Kai stood up suddenly, his eyes shrank suddenly, and he cried out in surprise. Pill Master Yang. Kong Saran looked at Yang Kai with a strange expression, not knowing why he suddenly had such a big reaction, but when he saw Yang Kai's face was both pleasantly surprised and annoyed, his eyes rolled, and he suddenly understood. Yang Kai never thought that he would encounter Luyan again under such circumstances. That day in the Starlight Passage, he and his two great helpers, President Io, Lord Chiyu and others were separated one after another, and they still don't know where they are. Aside from President Io and Lord Kai, Yang Kai has always been worried about Xiao Xiao and Luyan, because one of them is a stone puppet with low sanity, and the other is a body of a weapon spirit. If you find out, you must encounter some risks, especially Luyan, which is extremely attractive to some warriors who have practiced fire-type skills or have fire-type secret treasures. If Luyan's weapon spirit body can be absorbed by people who practice fire-type Kung Fu, then the strength of the warrior can be greatly increased. If it is integrated into the fire-type secret treasure, it is enough to raise the fire-type secret treasure to a higher level. Whatever Yang Kai was afraid of, he would come here. Now it seems that Luyan was indeed caught by the strong, and put into this auction. It is conceivable that there will be many warriors robbing him next time. Fortunately, Yang Kai is also at the auction site now. There is room for maneuver. This is a blessing in misfortune. No wonder when the round bowl was first brought up, Yang Kai always felt a spiritual connection with the sealed thing in the round bowl. When Luyan didn't have much wisdom back then, Yang Kai once sacrificed its main body, and there would naturally be a telepathic connection between the two, and this connection will never be cut off. And the moment Yang Kai got up, Luyan on the high platform seemed to be aware of it, and a pair of fire eyes looked towards Yang Kai's private room. No. Wings, want to fly to Yang Kai. But when the drunken man saw this, he just changed his technique, and a chain-like restraint suddenly appeared on Luyan's body, directly restraining its wings, causing it to fall heavily. Stop. Seeing this, Yang Kai couldn't help roaring. But as soon as the words came out of his mouth, he knew that he was being too reckless. Although Luyan originally belonged to him, he had been captured and put into the auction house, becoming an auction item. He had no position at all to make the drunken man show mercy to Luyan, and if he was too obvious, maybe people would see something. Thinking of this, he took a deep breath, and said lightly, "Please be careful, Lord Vice City Master, I am very interested in this weapon spirit, please don't hurt it." The drunken man has a good temper. Hearing this, he glanced in the direction of Yang Kai, and said with a smile, "Don't worry, the old man has his own measure, and he will never really hurt it." Well, everyone has also seen it. The secondary option is this fire-type weapon spirit. It is not an ordinary weapon spirit. It has opened up its intelligence, and its intelligence is not low. If it can be absorbed or integrated into its own secret treasure, it will definitely be of great use. On the high platform, the drunken man tried his best to sell Luyan, narrating its various unusual features, and the hype that he talked about also attracted countless people's interest. In the wing room, Yang Kai sat back on the chair with a gloomy expression. In the current situation, if he wants to get Luyan back, he can only do it through bidding, or he has the strength of Emperor Senior Realm, and can ignore the presence of thousands of Void King Realm and dozens of Dao Origin Realm, and use powerful strength take Luyan away. The latter method cannot be implemented. Although Yang Kai has now reached the Void King's third order level and has several Emperor treasures, if he really wants to do it here, he will be tantamount to seeking his own death. But if he wants to use the bidding method, he doesn't have that many source crystals in his hand, at least, there is definitely not enough to bid for Luyan. For a while, he was anxious. Kong Saran seemed to have a clue, and after a moment of silence, he asked in a low voice, "Pill Master Yang, do you have any relationship with that weapon spirit?" Yang Kai nodded and said, "Since shopkeeper Kong has seen it, I won't hide it anymore. It's called Luyan, and it's my weapon spirit." "Ah, is it Pill Master Yang's artifact spirit?" Although Kong Saran had expected it, he was still shocked when he heard Yang Kai say that. "It's not just a tool spirit, it's also a friend to me." "Friend?" Kong Saran looked at Yang Kai in astonishment, his head was in a daze. In this world, there are people who regard Qi Ling as a friend. In his opinion, it is unimaginable. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2033 Another Fierce Man. Surprised, Kong Saran didn't ask any more questions, but said, so it seems that Pill Master Yang wants to participate in the auction. That's right, but I don't have many source crystals. Yang Kai frowned. He was already circling secretly, and it was time to take out something on his body as a mortgage. Maybe, you can get a piece of heavy soil, and you don't need much, just a piece of heavy soil the size of a longan should be enough to pay for this auction. But once the heavy soil appears in the world, it might cause a lot of trouble. Since this artifact spirit has such a relationship with Pill Master Yang, then Pill Master Yang can rest assured to bid for it. If you lose any source crystals, the old man will go out for you first. In the future, Pill Master Yang will return it to me when he has it. Kong Saran said generously. Yang Kai looked at him, frowned and said, but shopkeeper Kong, aren't you going to bid for the last Daoyuan fruit? Kong Saran smiled and waved his hand. Originally, the old man still had some ideas about the source crystal, but now it seems that with the source crystal in the old man's hand, there is really little hope. There will be so many Daoyuan realms. Their financial resources are not comparable to this old man. Now that Pill Master Yang is in urgent need, the old man is not as beautiful as an adult. As for the Daoyuan fruit, what are we going to do? Do you still want to explore that cave? Maybe there is Daoyuan pill in it. How many source crystals does shopkeeper Kong have? Yang Kai asked in a deep voice. Kong Saran gave a slap to signal, and said, I don't have any more. I hope I can help Pill Master Yang. If that's the case, thank you brother Kong, I will remember this kindness. Yang Kai nodded seriously. Kong Saran's generosity touched his heart, and he secretly decided that if Kong Saran didn't have the chance to get the Daoyuan fruit this time, and if he didn't get the Daoyuan pill in the next exploration of the cave, then he would waiting for him to refine Daoyuan pill to give him one in the future. It would be good to repay the favor. During the days when he was in contact with Kong Saran, Yang Kai felt that this person was really good and someone he could make friends with. With Kong Saran's guarantee, Yang Kai felt more confident. After all, the Daoyuan middle-grade alchemy furnace was only auctioned for 6 million source crystals. Thinking about it, Luyan's value should not be higher than that of the Moyu Ding. Even if it is a spirit that gives birth to wisdom, it is only at the level of the third layer of the Void King, and it has limited effect on some real powerhouses. However, some exceptions cannot be ruled out. On the high platform where Yang Kai's mind was changing, the drunken man wiped his mouth and continued, I don't know what chance this weapon spirit had before. Not only does it have abundant and pure fire power, it can also control the power of thunder. Everyone, please don't underestimate it. If you are against it at the third level of the Void King, you will definitely not be an opponent if you fight it alone. Only warriors at the source of Tao can surrender it. Therefore, even if you are not practicing Friends of the Fire Element technique, it is also very useful to take pictures. Its existence is equivalent to giving you a powerful helper for nothing. Hearing the drunkard General Lu Yan's praise, Yang Kai's face suddenly darkened, cursing in his heart, wishing he could rush to the stage and sew the drunken man's mouth shut. The more he praised Lu Yan, the more enthusiastic the bidders would be, which is not good news for Yang Kai. Besides, this weapon spirit, there is another form. The drunken man showed a meaningful smile and glanced down, and immediately the spell in his hand changed, and he tightened his grip. Yan's chain-like restraining power exerted another burst of force, and Lu Yan wailed in pain, and immediately transformed under the eyes of everyone, unexpectedly turning into a graceful figure in fiery red clothes, which aroused people's imagination. Beauty. Hiss. It can be transformed into a human form. What kind of opportunity does this weapon spirit have? It can be so miraculous. Hey, her body seems to have condensed into a substance, and it's a bit out of the category of a weapon spirit. I don't know how it feels to touch. Seeing Lu Yan's appearance in human form, many warriors below became uneasy and shouted one after another. Standing on the high platform, Lu Yan's expression was extremely cold, and she looked like no one should enter. The indifference that rejected people thousands of miles away made her feel more beautiful. Many male warriors howled again and again. Especially at this moment, Lu Yan is bound by the chain-like restraint, which makes his plump figure even more uneven, and some people with ulterior motives are already dazzled by it. Yang Kai patted his forehead and sighed heavily. Kong Saran took a sip of tea at the side, but at this moment he couldn't help but spit it out, wiped it in a hurry, looked at Yang Kai with a strange expression, and said, "Brother Yang, the old man understands what you just said. What do you mean by friends?" "Brother Kong, it's not what you think," Yang Kai defended weakly. I understand, they are all men." Kong Saran chuckled, the smile was meaningful. Yang Kai rolled his eyes and simply stopped talking. Everyone has seen, this weapon spirit can not only be a very powerful helper, but it is also eye-catching and face-saving when it is always with you. To be honest, the beauty of her appearance is the only one I have seen in my life. It is a pity that I am old. If it is not, if so, we have to compete. The drunken man chuckled. Okay, let's stop talking nonsense. One fire weapon spirit, the base price is 1 million source crystals, and each price increase should not be less than 50,000, everyone, please. Lu Yan's starting price was surprisingly the same as that of the Daoyuan middle-grade alchemy furnace, which made Yang Kai frown, feeling a bad premonition in his heart. Sure enough, as soon as the drunken man's words fell, there were bidding voices one after another. The base price of 1 million broke through to 2 million in just 10 breaths of time. 3 million. Suddenly, a clear voice came from a private room in the Jazi, which made everyone stunned, and the warrior who was about to bid suddenly fell silent. The price was increased by 1 million at a time, which happened once in the previous auction, and the voices all seemed to come from the same private room. It's that senior. Someone recognized the voice, and the owner was the Dao Origin Realm expert who captured the Mo Yuding, so he couldn't help shouting out. Wow, this senior is really rich and powerful. He just bought the Ink Jade Cauldron for 6 million, and now he is starting to bid for this artifact. What do you know? If you can photograph both of them, it will complement each other. If you integrate this artifact spirit into the Moyu Cauldron, maybe you can make the Moyu Cauldron advanced to Daoyuan level top grade, and you can even touch it. Dabao's level. So that's the case. From this point of view, this senior is determined to win this fire weapon spirit. Hey, let's see how this senior's financial resources are. There are a lot of people who are interested in this spirit. When the voice shouted out 3 million, Yang Kai couldn't help but feel his heart skip a beat. He naturally heard who the owner of the voice was. The other party was interested in Lu Yan, naturally because he had just photographed the Mo Yuding, just like the reason those warriors talked about. He probably wanted to integrate Lu Yan into the alchemy in the furnace to improve the quality of the pill furnace. The other party was rich and powerful, and as soon as he said it, many people who were preparing to bid were silenced, resulting in the on-site auction being silent for a long time, and no one followed the price. Seeing this, Yang Kai had no choice but to make a move, and shouted, 4 million. Only Lu Yan, he can't give up no matter what. Even if it is bankrupt, it will not hesitate. After Yang Kai's voice came out, Lu Yan, who had been standing on the high platform and looked around coldly, couldn't help trembling slightly, glanced at the private room number. Tilt an arc. She knew in her heart that Yang Kai would not let her fall into the hands of others. Another fierce man. Haha, this is interesting, and I don't know who will get it in the end. Then we have to see who has more source crystals. Yang Kai raised the price from 3 million to 4 million in one breath, and also increased the price by 1 million like that person, but this courage is not inferior to the other party. In the private room of Jazi, there is a lean and capable figure. The man who seemed to be about 40 years old couldn't help frowning, and his spiritual thoughts suddenly swept towards the private room number. B and no. 9. Although there are prohibitions in these private rooms to isolate the investigation of ordinary spiritual thoughts, but because they are temporarily arranged, naturally there will not be too strong restrictions. On Yang Kai and Kong Saran. Kong Saran immediately let out a muffled snort, his face turned pale suddenly, and he felt a sense of suffocation. Yang Kai's body was also short, but he was safe and sound once he turned his spiritual consciousness power. Daoyuan two-layer realm. Yang Kai's heart sank, and only then could he deduce his real state from the intensity of the other party's divine sense. Brother Han. On the high platform, as the person presiding over the auction, the drunken man naturally couldn't let the strong bully the weak. Seeing this situation, he immediately opened his mouth and shouted, "Please stop." He called out the thin man's surname. Obviously he knew the identity of the other party long ago. The lean man surnamed Han heard the words, and said with a sneer, Han didn't do anything, just looked at them. Don't be nervous, Deputy City Lord. The drunken man frowned, and said lightly, It's the best. Brother Han is a distinguished guest, so he naturally knows the rules of the auction. You don't need to remind me. The man surnamed Han snorted coldly, seeming rather displeased. The drunken man nodded lightly, and said, then let's continue the auction. The friend in the private room no. B9 has already bid 4 million. Does Brother Han want to increase the price? After the drunken man asked this question, the man surnamed Han hadn't opened his mouth yet. In the private room next to him, a loud laugh came from a person. I'm paying 4.5 million yuan. The laughter was extremely arrogant, and the tone of not paying attention to others made people feel disgusted when they heard it, and even the drunkard standing on the high platform frowned. The man surnamed Han's face became even more severe, and the divine sense he had just retracted leisurely swept towards the private room next to him. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at woishao.at. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2034 Scramble. The man surnamed Han has a cultivation level of the second level of Daoyuan, and has the ability to stand shoulder to shoulder with the city lord Duan Yuanshan, so even though he was warned by the drunkard just now, he still didn't pay much attention. A little pressure on the person who bids for the private room, so that the person who made the bid quits. The power of divine consciousness belonging to the second level of Daoyuan slammed out, directly breaking through the restriction of the wing room and rushing in. But what the man surnamed Han never expected was that before he exerted his strength, a spiritual power not inferior to his suddenly surged out of the wing room, and rushed towards him in the opposite direction. The man surnamed Han shrank his eyes, and had no time to retract his divine sense, so he could only grit his teeth and confront the opponent. The invisible collision crashed in the main hall, and the power of spiritual consciousness suddenly collapsed. The man surnamed Han let out a muffled snort. He seemed to have suffered a small loss when he was caught off guard, and there was also a cold snort from the private room next to him. This collision of powers of spiritual consciousness was surprisingly evenly divided. There is also a second level of Daoyuan. The man surnamed Han's face darkened, and then he understood why the bidder's tone was arrogant. It turned out that it was because of the protection of a strong man. From this point of view, the origin of the other party may be a bit complicated. For a moment, the face of the man surnamed Han turned cold. Haha, I have already bid 4.5 million. Is there any higher one? If there is no higher one, this weapon spirit will belong to me. Instead of a contest between them, they still shouted arrogantly. In the private room, a middle-aged man frowned slightly, and said softly, Young Palace Master, it's not a good deal to buy a fire weapon spirit for 4.5 million. You don't practice fire skills. There is no fire-type secret treasure, why buy it back? If the Palace Master finds out about this, I'm afraid. You know what? On the opposite side of the middle-aged man, a handsome-looking young man with red lips and white teeth, holding a gold-painted fan and dressed as a young master curled his lips when he heard the words, and said, I really don't practice the fire element. There is no fire-type secret treasure, but, don't you think this primate is very beautiful? In addition, I am a little more curious, I don't know if she feels like a real person, if so, no matter how many flowers Master Yuanjing is also willing. The middle-aged man frowned when he heard the words, but he couldn't say anything more, so he could only shake his head with a wry smile. He knew that his young master likes women, especially glamorous mature women, so the image of the spirit is naturally very suitable for the young master's appetite. 5 million. In the private room no. B9, Yang Kai shouted out the new price expressionlessly. Asshole. As soon as Yang Kai's bid came out, the young man dressed as a young master stood up abruptly, ignoring the occasion, and sternly shouted, You dare to grab what this young master likes? Are you going to fight against Feixiang Palace with me? My young master 5.1 million. When he said this, many warriors present immediately understood his identity. The person who made the bid was Ning Yuanchang, the young palace master of Feixiang Palace. Yang Kai also looked stunned. No wonder he heard this person's voice a little familiar just now, it turned out to be this guy from Ning Yuanchang. Yang Kai has dealt with him more than once, the first time was to help Mo Shaoqi out of a siege, the second time was in the 5-color pagoda, but just now he was so focused on hanging Luyan, Yang Kai didn't pay much attention to distinguishing, unexpectedly failed to recognize his sound. From this point of view, in the private room in Ningyuan City, the person whose consciousness collided with the man surnamed Han should be Luigi, a strong Taoist who has been guarding him all the time. So what about Feixiang Palace? If your old man, Ning Boyang, were here, Han might give him face, and this weapon spirit would be let go. As for you, HMPH, you're not qualified enough, 520,000. In the private room next to him, the man surnamed Han said with a sneer. Who is your excellency? Ning Yuancheng sternly shouted. The man surnamed Han laughed and said, go back and ask your father, he will tell you who I am. Damn it, how dare you look down on me? Ning Yuan's face turned livid. Young palace master, this is someone else's territory after all, this Han surname is not easy to mess with, or, forget it. Lu Yiji persuaded. Forget it, how do you calculate it? This son can't swallow this breath, how dare you look down on me? Well, let's see who has more source crystals, who dares to compare financial resources with me, it's just asking for death. Ning Yuancheng said, looking like he was about to go crazy, he opened his mouth and shouted, 5.5 million. 5,600,000. The man surnamed Han raised the price unhurriedly. 6 million, 6,100,000. In this auction, apart from Yang Kai bidding a few times before, he didn't intervene at all later. When the price soared to 6 million, Yang Kai knew that he had no hope. Saran only had 5 million source crystals, and he only had hundreds of thousands of source crystals on him, which was less than 6 million, unless he really took a lump of heavy soil as collateral. However, the heavy soil was too precious, and he didn't dare to show it to others easily, so as not to cause any trouble, so after he felt that he had no hope of competing, Yang Kai didn't speak out again. Saran glanced at him, couldn't help sighing, and comforted him, Brother Yang, let nature take its course. Yang Kai nodded lightly and didn't say much. At this point in the auction, anyone can see that there is some anger in this auction. If the man surnamed Han bids for Luyan for Mo Yuding, then Ningyuan City is really unwilling to bid face. Although the man surnamed Han has amazing financial resources, he just spent several million source crystals to auction off a black jade cauldron, and he probably doesn't have many source crystals on him right now. When the price was raised to 7 million, the voice of the man surnamed Han's asking price has become gloomy. In the end, when Ning Yuancheng called out a high price of 7.5 million, the man surnamed Han finally fell silent. Ha! Snatch something from me, and don't take a pee to see what kind of virtue I am, I have never missed the thing I like. Ning Yuancheng sneered loudly. My lord, let's forgive others. Lu Yiji persuaded in a low voice from the side. I'm so afraid, this guy doesn't take me seriously, so why do I still want me to kneel and lick him? Let's make his spring and autumn dream. Ning Yuancheng shook his gold-painted fan and fanned it lightly, with a serious look on his face. The spring breeze is proud. Lu Yiji sighed stunned, and couldn't continue to say anything. Your Excellency young palace master of Feixiong Palace bids 7.5 million, is there no higher price? Then 7.5 million once, twice, 3 times, the fire weapon spirit belongs to His Excellency young palace master, please bring Qi Yuanjing to the backstage for delivery. The drunken man wrinkled his face with a smile. For him, the auction he hosted naturally meant that the higher the selling price, the better, and he could get more profit from it. After finishing speaking, the drunkard looked solemn, and said in a deep voice, the auction meeting is now coming to an end. As for what the last auction item is, I think you all already know it. Well, little old man, I won't go into too much detail, just present the auction item. As soon as the words fell, a maid came up dragging the jade plate. The last auction item was naturally the Daoyuan fruit that was thrown into the 5-color pagoda by the martial Holy Land that day. For a moment, it attracted countless people to look up with wide-eyed eyes. Many warriors have never seen what Dao Yuanguo looks like in their life. Even if they know that they are hopeless in bidding at this moment, it is better than eye addiction. Naturally, there will be more conversations before and after dinner in the future. And many of the guests in this auction came for this Daoyuan fruit. In the previous auctions, many Daoyuanjing in the private room of Jiazi had never been sold, and even Mo Yuding they didn't participate in the auction of appearance in Luyan. They will come here to participate in the auction meeting, and there is only one purpose, Daoyuan fruit. One piece of Daoyuan fruit can refine a furnace of pills. If you are lucky, if you produce 5 or 6 pills, you may be able to create 5 or 6 Daoyuan realm experts. This is not a small temptation for any force. And this last auction is destined to be an extremely fierce competition among the sects of the major families. Yang Kai's mind was no longer in the auction house. Daoyuan fruit may be attractive to others, but it can be ignored by him. After all, he already has a Daoyuan fruit himself, and he doesn't have that much financial resources to participate in the auction. He silently sensed Lu Yan's position. Although because of the restriction on the round bowl, the connection between him and Lu Yan became negligible, but after he calmed down, he could still feel it. Since you can't use your strong financial resources to fight for popularity at the auction, you can only steal it secretly. Fortunately, Lu Yan was auctioned off by Ning Yuancheng in the end, and Yang Kai didn't feel burdened to rob him. He and Ning Yuancheng had a bit of a festival. At the entrance of the second floor of the five-color pagoda, Ning Yuancheng brought a group of flying saints. The palace disciple even took the initiative to attack him. Yang Kai didn't pay attention to the other people in Feixiang Palace, but Lu Yiji, who was at the second level of Dao origin, made Yang Kai feel a little tricky. Dao Yuan 2-level realm is not something he can contend with now, but fortunately he has a demon worm mother body, and Qingyan Jinglei Jackal. One of these two big blood beasts has the strength of Dao Yuan 2-level realm, and the other has Dao Yuan 1st-level realm. It shouldn't be a problem to work together to contain Lu Yiji. As long as Lu Yiji is restrained, using Yang Kai's method to snatch Ning Yuan City, which is rich in gold and jade and ruined in it, is it still easy to capture? If you think so, there must be some variables in the implementation, and you still have to plan well. Yang Kai wandered outside the room, and the auction site was already in full swing because of Dao Yuanguo. Even Kong Saran joined the bidding, but with his financial resources, he only had 2 chances to bid, and the voice of bidding had just been shouted out before being refreshed by a higher price. The price of Dao Yuanguo had also soared all the way to the point where Kong Saran was desperate. When someone called out the high price of 8 million, Kong Saran slumped down on the chair and let out a long sigh. But Yang Kai turned a deaf ear to this. In his induction, Lu Yan's aura had already arrived in the private room of Feixiang Palace. Obviously the delivery with the city lord's mansion had been completed, but Ning Yuancheng was not in a hurry. The meaning of leaving is to stay and watch the battle of Dao Yuanguo. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2035 coincides. Dao Yuanguo's auction can be described as extremely fierce. At the beginning, there were warriors at the Void King realm bidding, but in the later stage, the Void King realm couldn't get in the way at all. Those who were qualified to bid were all those at the Dao Yuan realm level. While they were calling for prices, they were also fighting openly and secretly. Spiritual thoughts intertwined in the sky above the auction house. From time to time, there was a slight muffled sound from a certain private room, which was obviously due to the confrontation of spiritual thoughts. I suffered a bit. And the drunken man who presided over the auction seemed to have expected it long ago, and he didn't care about this situation. As for the city lord's mansion, no one came forward, and let those strong people fight in dire straits. With the high prices being called out one by one, the atmosphere of the auction was extremely intense, making the warriors sitting in the hall stunned. Yang Kai also really gained insight, and only then did he realize how rich these powerful people with the backing of family sects are. This auction lasted for more than an hour, and the Dao Yuan fruit was finally won by a Dao Yuanjing expert in a private room of Jiazi at a high price of 11 million. 11 million, looking at the entire star world, even those second and third class sect forces may not be able to take it out easily, but if it can create a few Dao Yuanjing because of it, so as to increase the overall strength of the sect, but it is also a good deal. At this point, the auction is completely over. Yang Kai and Kong Saran left together, and many warriors also left the auction hall excitedly, chatting in groups about what they saw and heard at this auction. Brother Yang, after I go back and make some preparations for a few days, let's set off for that place. I hope it won't let me down. After reaching a secluded place, Kong Saran whispered to Yang Kai. Yang Kai naturally knew what the place he was talking about referred to, and nodded immediately. Okay, then I will wait for Brother Kang's news. Farewell first. Kong Saran cupped his fists and turned to leave. After he left, Yang Kai also turned around and walked in one direction. After a while, I entered a street, randomly found a tavern, ordered some wine and food, sat by the window, and started drinking while eating. The reason why he didn't go back to his cave at the first time was naturally because he wanted to track down Lu Yan. It was difficult for him to do anything in Fenggalan City, so he could only wait for the group of people from Feixiang Palace to leave Fenggalan City. Feixiang Palace is also considered a big force in the southern territory. The reason why they came to such a small place as Fenggalan City was naturally because of Luanfeng's appearance last time, and then the five-color pagoda was opened, and the news of the auction meeting spread. After leaving, the trip of Feixiang Palace's group of people was naturally delayed, and they never left Fenggalan City. However, Yang Kai estimated that they would not stay for long, so he quietly waited for the right opportunity. Yang Kai didn't expect that this wait would take 2 days. During this period, a group of people from Feixiang Palace lived in an inn and never left. And he could vaguely sense Lu Yan's aura, so he wasn't worried about being lost, nor was he worried about being discovered by Luigi, a strong Daoyuan two-layer. Yang Kai secretly guessed that the reason why the people from Feixiang Palace stayed in Fenggalan City was probably because Ningyuan City wanted to subdue Luyan. His guess was right. At this moment, in the upper room of that inn, Ning Yuancheng stared angrily at the round bowl in his hand. When Fahui pinched it, a fiery red strange bird immediately appeared in the round bowl. And Luigi, who has been guarding Ningyuan City, seems to have never left. Bitch! Ning Yuancheng didn't know why he was going crazy, and he yelled angrily at this moment, and Chong Luyan roared, "Hurry up and show your human form, don't think that I don't know that you are not low-spirited by pretending to be stupid, you can definitely understand my words." Lu Yan, who was issued many restrictions, just flapped his wings, quietly suspended in the midair, neither screaming nor making noise. Just inadvertently, Ningyuan City opened its beak, and a ball of thunder and fire with a purple arc sandwiched in a fiery red ball suddenly bombarded Ningyuan City. This kind of thing seems to have happened many times, so Ning Yuancheng is no stranger to it, and he doesn't even have the intention of avoiding it. Instead, Luigi, who has been guarding the side all the time, waved his hand, and the power of the law surged, and the thunder fire suddenly disappeared, without a trace. Hee, you have quite a temper. Well, I like you like this. Since you have been refusing to show your human form, don't blame me for being ruthless. Deacon Lu, get ready, let's go back to the Holy Palace. Luigi, who was standing next to him, was overjoyed when he heard the words, "Young Palace Master, are you going back?" That's right, I've tried for 2 days, but I still can't make this bitch settle down. It's pointless to stay any longer. Let's go back to the Holy Palace first. When the time comes, let father take action. Are you afraid that this guy won't submit? Ning Yuancheng let out a cold snort, and the spell in his hand changed again, and the force of restraint came from the round bowl, sucking Luyan back again. Half an hour later, a group of people from Feixiang Palace retreated from the room, dressed up casually, and then Shiren walked towards the city gate. In the same inn, in a wing room, Yang Kai, who was meditating, suddenly opened his eyes, exhaled softly, and said, "Are you finally leaving?" If the people from Feixiang Palace don't leave, he will be really troubled. After all, he has promised Kong Saran to explore the cave in a few days. If there is a time conflict, it will be troublesome. Although this is not a big deal, and it only needs to be explained to Kong Saran casually, but after all, he has broken his promise. At this moment, the people from Feixiang Palace are heading towards the city gate. Obviously they are leaving Fenggalan City, which is exactly what Yang Kai expected. He didn't follow immediately, but waited for a while before walking out of the room and heading towards the same city gate. Half a day later, on a plane a million miles away from Fenggalan City, Yang Kai was rushing forward. Because of the induction with Lu Yan, he can clearly know the location of the group of people in Feixiang Palace, and he is not worried about losing them. But he didn't have a suitable flying secret treasure in his hand, so he couldn't catch up with the opponent for a while, which made him a little impatient. When he was struggling to move forward, Yang Kai suddenly felt that there was a powerful divine sense in front of him, and this sudden situation made his expression change, and his steps suddenly stopped. That spiritual mind had no killing intent, but was extremely cold, and after sweeping past Yang Kai, it was leisurely withdrawn. Yang Kai stood on the spot, his face uncertain, and after a while he whispered, "There are still people who are following Feixiang Palace. It feels like, it's that Han." When he was in the auction before, the man surnamed Han used his divine sense to oppress Kong Saran and Yang Kai, which was still fresh in his memory, so after contacting him at this moment, Yang Kai immediately knew the identity of the other party. It's just that he didn't expect that besides his own thoughts about the people from Feixiang Palace, there are other people. If it wasn't for the other party's self-reliance on strength and not taking his Void King stage seriously, Yang Kai might not be able to detect it. Once the time comes to attack the people in Feixiang Palace by himself, he might let this surnamed Han take advantage of him. Thinking of this, Yang Kai couldn't help breaking out in a cold sweat. It's also fortunate that the surname Han made such a move, otherwise things would be really troublesome. The other party is probably trying to intimidate Yang Kai with divine sense, let him retreat in spite of difficulties, and not come to get involved in this muddy water. If it was any Void King realm, he would have to turn around and leave at this moment, but Yang Kai had reasons to continue chasing him. Paused for a while, Yang Kai continued to chase, but at this moment, his mood was no longer so anxious, but unhurried. Anyway, the one surnamed Han seemed to be trying to embarrass the people of Feixiang Palace. Yang Kai didn't have to rush to make a move, it would be better to wait until the two sides were hurt by both sides. And the man surnamed Han would chase people from Feixiang Palace, presumably because of Liu Yan. At the auction, his financial resources were not comparable to Ningyuan City, so he could only snatch it halfway. His idea coincides with Yang Kai's. With the strong man surnamed Han leading the vanguard, Yang Kai's mood suddenly brightened. While catching up, he was thinking about how to make a move without anyone noticing. It's best to make both sides unable to find himself. But after thinking about it for a long time, he didn't come up with any good plan, which made him quite depressed, so he could only make up his mind to play it by ear. On the building boat of Feixiang Palace in front, all the disciples performed their own duties, maintaining the fast flight of the building boat, and naturally they were unaware of the two people chasing after them with hidden auras. After another half a day like this, when it was almost dark, Yang Kai, who was flying, suddenly changed his expression and raised his eyes to look into the distance. In that distance, there are rays of light flashing, and various crackling sounds can be vaguely heard, and strong spiritual energy fluctuations are transmitted. That guy has made a move. Yang Kai was overjoyed, and quickly activated the Void Secret Technique, quietly and quickly approaching the front. His Void Secret Technique, in addition to being miraculously effective in avoiding fatal blows, can also hide one's own blood and breath. This kind of secret technique derived from space power is more powerful than the concealment technique of ordinary sects. Unless there is a martial artist whose strength is higher than Yang Kai's, it is generally impossible for others to detect his existence except that he can only be found by careful inspection. After flying forward for half an hour, Yang Kai finally arrived at the place. Under the moonlight, an exquisite building boat was floating in the midair. On the deck of the building boat, there were faint figures, looking in a certain direction. One of the figures was obviously the young master of Feixiang Palace, Ning Yuancheng. As for the others, they were all disciples of Feixiang Palace. And in the sky about 1,000 feet away from the building and boat, the two figures were entangled in a ball at this moment, fighting hard. Yang Kai looked carefully and found that the two figures were Luigi and the man surnamed Han. They should have been fighting for a long time. Under the premise of the same cultivation level, the competition is naturally perseverance and the ability to respond on the spot. But judging from the scene, both of them are doing very well. Obviously, they have experienced many battles. Judging from the situation, it seems that they still have to fight. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2036 Fanyu Jodi Information. After watching for a while, Yang Kai turned his gaze to the secret treasure of the ship in Feixiang Palace. At this moment, Ning Yuancheng was standing on the deck, with a leisurely expression on his face, as if he was not worried about Luigi's defeat at all, waving a folding fan in his hand, and pointing forward with a few people beside him from time to time. Those disciples from Feixiang Palace naturally nodded in agreement. And around the building ship, there is another layer of light curtain flowing with green fluorescent light, which wraps the whole building ship in it. This is obviously prohibited by the protection of the building ship. Yang Kai frowned slightly. Now that the two Daoyuan two-layer powerhouses are fighting in the distance, it is naturally a good time for him to take the opportunity to start, but the restriction of the building ship is extremely strong, and Yang Kai is not even sure to break it with a single blow. It is impossible to break through without anyone noticing. Yang Kai estimated that as long as he gets close to the building boat, his whereabouts will definitely be exposed. He considered for a long time, and finally decided to hold back for the time being and continue to wait for the opportunity. Thinking of this, he turned his attention to the battlefield of the two Dao Source realms again. After such a long time, Luigi from Feixiang Palace and the man surnamed Han are still fighting evenly, no one is inferior to the other. But Yang Kai vaguely felt that something was wrong. It would be too reckless to say that the man surnamed Han has no confidence in himself and so rashly attack the people of Feixiang Palace. Not only will he fail in the end, but he may offend Feixiang Palace, the enemy, for no reason. No one with a little brain would do this. Since the man surnamed Han chose to make a move here, he must have his own support. Thinking of this, Yang Kai was startled, and felt a little glad that he hadn't acted recklessly just now. Who is your excellency? Why don't you report your name? Is it interesting to be so sneaky and embarrassing? In the sky, Luigi was holding a Daoyuan level long knife secret treasure. After a reckless blow, he stepped back and asked. Not far from the opposite side, a man surnamed Han also floated far away under the influence of huge force, a long sword in his hand turned leisurely, pointed at Luigi, and said with a sneer, "You don't know who I am, it's because of your shallow knowledge, to actually blame others, it's really ridiculous." Luigi frowned, and said in a deep voice, "I know your surname is Han, but how many people with the surname Han are there in the world? I don't care what your origin is. If you leave now, Lu has never happened since today. But if you continue to pester me, then you are the enemy of my Feixiang Palace, and Lu will not show mercy." Flying Saint Palace. The man surnamed Han smiled when he heard the words, and said sarcastically, "It's so scary. Why, do you think that a mere Feixiang Palace can make Han afraid? Don't say it is Feixiang Palace, it is Xingshan Palace, so what? It's not been a year or two since Star God Palace wanted my life, and I'm still alive and well." Ah, Luigi was shocked, and looked at the man surnamed Han in astonishment, startled by his remarks. In the entire southern region, the Star God Palace is a veritable overlord. In the southern region, the Star God Palace commands the world, and no one dares not to obey. But judging from the remarks of the man surnamed Han, this guy seems to have some problems with Xingshan Palace, and he has been living freely and comfortably, and his life is quite nourishing. You are. A rumor that he heard more than 10 years ago suddenly appeared in the depths of Luigi's heart. He looked startled, pointed at the man surnamed Han and said, "I know who you are, so it's that Han Leng who was kicked out of the gate by Xingshan Palace. More than 10 years ago, one of the disciples under the seat of an elder-level powerhouse in the Star God Palace made a big mistake. Originally, according to the rules of the Star God Palace, he was going to be executed, but he didn't know where he came from. After getting the news in advance, he actually killed several senior brothers who were guarding him, escaped from Xingshan Palace, and disappeared without a trace ever since. Back then, this incident caused a lot of uproar. Many disciples of the Star God Palace went out to search for news and traces of this traitor, and wanted to capture him back to the Star God Palace to rectify the law. Unfortunately, no one succeeded. Instead, the traitor took the opportunity to kill him. Many people. This matter has always been a stain on Xingshan Palace. People from other sects dare not talk about it directly, they only talked about it in private. Over the past 10 years, Xingshan Palace has never let go of the pursuit of this traitor, but it is a pity that they have not been able to succeed. Later, there were rumors that the traitor was the illegitimate son of the powerful Emperor Senior Realm Elder, and that Elder personally released him back then. Of course, no one knows whether this kind of news is true or not. As a high-ranking official in Feixiang Palace, Luigi was naturally familiar with such secrets, and knew that the traitor was named Han Lang. Originally, Luigi didn't expect the real identity of the man surnamed Han, but after the other party said something like that, he immediately had an insight. You are indeed Han Lang, the traitor from Star God Palace. So what? On the other side, Han Lang admitted without hesitation, with a tricky smile on his face, he said, "It's too late to recognize it now." When Luigi heard the words, his heart skipped a beat, and he subconsciously whispered, "It's not good." After saying that, he turned around and was about to fly towards the building. His face became panicked, as if he was about to encounter something terrible. But at this moment, Han Lang's expression became serious, and he picked up Ling Ju. With the change of the Juju, the bright moon in the sky shone brightly, dazzling people's eyes, making it almost impossible to see what was ahead. Everything. A beam of pure white light suddenly shot down from the bright moon and poured directly into Han Lang's body. In the next moment, with Han Lang's body as the center, streams of moonlight radiated in all directions. In less than 3 breaths of time, the area of dozens of miles was suddenly enveloped by an inexplicable force, and it seemed to be isolated from the whole world by this force. Only see the silver moon all over the sky. Those moons have different shapes. There are full moons, waning moons, and crescent moons, but not a single star. At this moment, it seems to have become another world. Fanyu Jodian formation. Luigi's face suddenly turned extremely pale, explaining the reason for this change. Hey, Han Lang's body has long since disappeared, only his voice is radiating in all directions at this moment, making people unable to discern the source. Yes, you can recognize this formation, and you can die in peace. Quote. When did you arrange it? Luigi asked with a livid face. Knowing that you are people from Feixiang Palace, you can naturally know your whereabouts. What's so great about arranging a large formation in advance? I can only blame your young palace master for being too arrogant, thinking that no one in Feixiang Palace would dare to mess with you. Is it? Han Leng's voice continued to float. Not far away, on the building boat, Ning Yuancheng's expression was also extremely ugly. Although he was staying on the tall ship, it seemed extremely safe, but at this moment he was already wrapped in the Fanyu Jodian formation. And judging from Luigi's demeanor as if he was facing a big enemy, he also guessed that this formation was a little different. After thinking for a while, he suddenly rushed to the Feixiang Palace disciples on the upstairs boat and said, "Go out quickly to support Deacon Lu, my son is here to meet you." On the upstairs boat, apart from him, there are more than a dozen Void King Realm warriors, and most of them are from the second or third Void King Realm. They are not a weak force when combined. When those people heard the words, they didn't hesitate much, they used their body skills to fly up from the building boat, and greeted Luigi. "Don't come out," Lu Yi subconsciously shouted, but it was too late. The moment these people flew out, in the sky, countless silver moons of different shapes shot out streams of clear moonlight in a flash. Those moonlights seemed extremely peaceful and harmless. However, many Feixiang Palace disciples have rich combat experience. Before they understand the power of this formation, they will not let Yuehua hit casually, so they all avoid it. But one of the warriors at the second level of the Void King couldn't avoid it, and was hit half of his body by Yuehua. Silently, the left half of the body of this Void King second layer martial artist melted away. His body protection Saint Yuan did not play any role at all. As if he noticed something strange, he turned his head to look in a daze, and the scene he saw almost knocked him out of his wits. The screams came out immediately, and the man fell headfirst to the ground, and before he landed, he lost his breath. Such a strange scene was imprinted in the eyes of others, and almost everyone gasped and felt chills all over. "You guys, hey," Luigi sighed heavily, although he felt a little slanderous towards Ningyuan City in his heart. He didn't want to say anything, but changed his words. "Since you've come out, follow me to break the formation. Fanyu Jodian, the big formation is really great, but the person who arranged him is not very smart, so let me wait to fight a bloody road together." Those Void King realms were originally flustered when they saw their companions die tragically, but after being soothed by Luigi, their moods immediately calmed down a lot, and they all got shocked and gathered towards him. Han Leng's sneer came from all directions, without showing his figure at all. Under his urging control, the countless silver moons flickered again, and the moonlight flew out in all directions, and a group of people gathered towards Feixiang Palace. "Stop," Luigi snarled, and took the lead in cutting out the long knife in his hand. The light of the knife suddenly appeared, forming a huge on that was more than 10 feet long, and bombarded it forward. The power of the technique, sacrifice the secret treasure. In an instant, colorful rays of light flickered and bombarded with the silver light. But after only a short while of stalemate, Yingguang broke through the joint efforts of a group of people from Feixiang Palace and pressed forward. Luigi shrank his eyes, and suddenly shouted, "Scatter!" Some people who responded quickly dodged to the side immediately after hearing this, and those who reacted a little slower were lucky enough to escape under Luigi's reminder. But in this way, the people of Feixiang Palace who had just hugged together were immediately beaten to pieces. Before they could continue to hug each other, the power of the Fanyu Jodian formation was stimulated again, and countless lights of moonlight flickered again. This time, the warriors of Feixiang Palace were not so lucky. They had just stabilized their bodies and hadn't even had time to catch their breath. 3 of them had no time to dodge Yuehua's attack and were directly hit directly. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2037 Self-Destruct. Just like the scene where the disciples of Feixiang Palace died tragically before, these Yuehua mobilized by Fanyu Zhou Tianju's formation are extremely lethal, and seem to contain extremely strong corrosive and penetrating properties. The warriors in the crowd screamed and watched their body parts melt, and they lost their breath in a very short period of time. All of them's body protecting saints were useless, and even a martial artist's defensive treasure was half corroded. "Deacon Lu, save me." One person didn't die immediately. There was a big hole pierced by the moonlight in his abdomen, and the wriggling viscera inside could be clearly seen. He kept struggling and flew towards Luigi, shouting for help. And near the wound on his abdomen, the corrosive power was like maggots on the tarsus bone, lingering, quickly corroding other intact flesh and blood, and when he flew in front of Luigi, the wound on his abdomen had become it was a circle bigger than before, and by Sensen's bones were exposed. A trace of cruelty flashed in Luigi's eyes, and when the man approached, he waved his hand and punched him on the head. With a bang, the man's head burst open like a smashed watermelon. The surviving disciples of Feixiang Palace fell silent for a moment, and all of them looked at Luigi in horror. "He can't live," Luigi shouted angrily, "rather than making him suffer, it's better to give him a good time." "Ha ha ha ha," Han Lang laughed loudly, "do people in Feixiang Palace act so cruelly? Han has learned a lot today." Luigi was ridiculed by him for a while, and suddenly became a little angry from embarrassment, and shouted, "Han, if you have the ability, you can show your body and fight with Lu. What kind of ability is it by using the power of the formation? It's ridiculous, it's ridiculous. It's not a skill for Han to use the power of the formation, so it's a skill for you to bully the few," Han Lang said dismissively. Luigi saw that the shock would be ineffective, so he could only turn his head and shout at the disciples of Feixiang Palace who were still alive, "Why are you still standing there? If you want to survive, attack this formation with all your might." When everyone heard the words, they didn't dare to be negligent, and quickly unleashed their best and most powerful attacks, hitting all around aimlessly. Although Luigi's cruelty just now terrified them in their hearts, they also knew that what he said was right, being enveloped by the Fanyu Zhou Tianzhu array, if they wanted to survive, they had no choice but to continue attacking. A group of jumping clowns. Han Lang sneered, and his figure suddenly appeared somewhere in the midair. With a change in the magic weapon in his hand, countless moonlights shot out from the silver moon again, and these moonlights were all from North Korea. Gathered in one place, and soon, it gathered into a huge beam of moonlight, from which there was an oppressive aura that made everyone tremble with fear. "Go!" Han Lang waved his hand, and the huge moonlight rushed towards a certain disciple of Feixiang Palace. The speed was so fast that it was impossible to guard against. The disciple didn't even have time to dodge, he was directly enveloped by the moonlight, and disappeared between the sky and the earth in an instant. And Luigi seemed to have been waiting for this time. When Han Lang's figure was revealed, he sprayed blood on his long knife. The long knife trembled slightly and disappeared in place. When it reappeared, it was already gone. In front of Han Lang, he cut it off directly. While Luigi watched nervously, Han Lang's figure was cut into two and split open. Luigi's expression brightened, but he soon realized something was wrong. Although Han Lang's body was cut open, there was no trace of blood flowing out strangely, and after twisting again, he disappeared like this. What he hit was a phantom of Han Lang, and Han Lang himself had long been hidden again. Luigi frowned, feeling troubled. In terms of cultivation level, he is comparable to Han Lang, and his combat power is also comparable. Logically speaking, it is impossible for the opponent to take such an obvious advantage, but with the support of Fanyu Zhou Tian's formation, he can't fathom Han Lang's strength at all. No trace, can only be beaten passively, and is anxious for a while. The huge moonlight didn't just disappear, but bounced back and forth within a radius of 100 feet, and disciples of Feixiang Palace were continuously attacked and melted completely. In just a dozen or so breaths of effort, there were only 2 Void King Realm warriors left on the spot. The two looked at each other, and they both saw the intent to escape from each other's eyes, knowing that if they did not escape, they would surely die. So the two of them swayed together and flew towards the place where the boat was. The moonlight flickered, covering one of them, and the person disappeared into the world before he could utter a scream. The last person managed to escape to the front of the building, and he opened his mouth and shouted, "Young Palace Master, let your subordinates go in." On the deck of the building ship, Ning Yuancheng stood there with a panicked expression, ignoring the disciples' shouts, and instead said angrily, "Get out of here, don't bring that thing over." "Young Palace Master, you." The disciple looked at Ning Yuancheng with despair on his face. Before he could finish speaking, the moonlight came from behind him, directly punching a hole in his chest. Boom, a loud bang. Yuehua's remnant power hit the protective cover of the building, and suddenly there was a piercing sound, as if something had been corroded, and the protective cover of the building flickered wildly. Ning Yuancheng couldn't help taking several steps back, and fell down on the building boat. Fortunately, the level of this building ship is not low, it seems to have the level of Daoyuan level, and the defense power is quite good. The remnant power of Yuehua can't break through the power of the defensive cover. "So that's it, I finally caught you. At the moment when Yuewen disappeared, Luigi suddenly came to the front of the building, slashed with a long knife in his hand, and the light of the knife splashed into the void. A figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It was Han Lang with a livid face. There was a cut in the original robe, which should have been cut by Luigi just now. The two faced each other in front of the building. Han Lang's expression was gloomy, and Luigi's expression was also grave. It seems that you have seen some clues. Han Lang's face was slightly pale, as if he was exhausted from maintaining the operation of the formation. That's right. Luigi held the long saber in front of his body. Lu has heard about the formation of Fanyu Zhou Tianju for a long time, but when I saw it today, I realized that it was just an auxiliary formation. You thought you were hiding in the moonlight, and Lu, can't you see it? Han Lang gave a long laugh. Deacon Lu really has a sharp eye. Han has tried his best to hide his whereabouts, but he doesn't want to be discovered by you. Since I discovered the flaw, this place is where you will be buried today. Luigi said with a cold voice, pointing his long knife far away. Han Lang curled his lips and said, that depends on whether you have the ability. While speaking, he pinched Fa Ju again, and the countless silver moons trembled again. Do you still want to repeat the old trick? Luigi snarled, and slashed fiercely around with the long knife in his hand. The blades shot fiercely, and the power of the law was swayed wantonly, which stabilized the trembling Yinyu. He said proudly, Fanyu Zhou Tianchao formation, that's all. Really? Han Lang had a weird look on his face, and his whole body suddenly burst into dazzling light, as if he had also turned into a full moon. What? Luigi paled in shock, instinctively feeling a hint of danger, and hastily sacrificed a shield-shaped secret treasure in front of him. The shield spun around and quickly became the size of a tabletop, covering Luigi's entire body, in the rear. At this moment, Han Lang seemed to have finished his preparations, and a sword sound came out, and the dazzling light suddenly turned into a shocking sword light, which shot towards Luigi like an arrow from the string. Not only that, it seemed that under the control of Han Lang, the silver moons that had been stabilized all around also shot out moonlight one after another, pouring into the sword glow. The sword light suddenly became bigger, and in just a short breath of time, it became a behemoth with a length of several tens of feet. The sensational coercion descended from the sky, not only made Ning Yuanchang, who was sitting in the building boat, turn pale, but also Luigi, who was guarded by his own shield's secret treasure, felt a sense of crisis, and a breath of death rushed towards him. It wasn't until this time that he realized that he had underestimated Han Lang and that Fanyu Zhou Tianju. The great formation of Fanyu Zhou Tianju is the formation of the Star God Palace. As the overlord of the Southern Territory, this formation is naturally superior. Although Luigi can see through some clues, he has no way to see all of them clearly. Look down on this. At the end of the formation is the call of death. Young Palace Master, run away. Luigi gritted his teeth, opened his mouth and shouted, at the same time bit the tip of his tongue, and spurted his own blood forward. The secret treasure of the shield guarding in front of him was shining brightly, and the protection seemed to be stronger, but the long knife in his hand was buzzing continuously, with violent power. Even Luigi couldn't grasp it faintly. Self-explosion. Han Lang's exclamation came from the shocking sword light, with a hint of fear. In this world, not all secret treasures can self-destruct, only some special secret treasures have this ability, and once the owner explodes it, it can produce huge destructive power, but if this is done, the secret treasure will lose, not to mention, the owner will definitely be damaged to varying degrees. The long knife secret treasure above Lu Yi is a Daoyuan level low-grade secret treasure, and the power of self-explosion is definitely not low, and Han Lang does not dare to underestimate it. Don't even think about it. Han Lang's face turned serious, and he urged the sword glow harder and harder, hiding himself in it, trying to take Luigi's life before the secret treasure exploded. The brilliance flashed, and a shocking sound came out. The spiritual energy between the heaven and the earth swayed leisurely, and even the laws of this piece of heaven and earth were disordered for a moment. Where Luigi was, a black hole in space suddenly appeared. The power of the secret treasure's self-explosion broke the space, which shows how terrifying it is. Endless suction came from the black hole, devouring everything around it, and then suddenly retracted, and under the action of the law of heaven and earth, it was restored again. In the sky, many silver moons were dimmed, as if Han Lang's last blow drained the power of Fanyu Zhou Tianju's formation. And Han Lang's figure was also revealed from the side. At this moment, his face was extremely ferocious, his body was drenched in blood, and his left arm was twisted at a strange angle, making him look horrible. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at woishao.t. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2038. Be careful behind. Han Lang was seriously injured in the last blow of the two Daoyuan 2-level realms. After he stabilized his body, he opened his mouth to spit out a mouthful of purple-black blood, and his extremely fierce aura suddenly weakened a lot. As for Luigi, he has already disappeared, and there is not even a trace of his aura within this radius of 100 zhong. Only the secret treasure of the shield that he sacrificed before has fallen from the sky in tatters, its surface is dull and its spirituality is exhausted. Lose. This shield-shaped defense secret treasure has been destroyed. Even if this secret treasure is destroyed, one can imagine what will happen to Luigi. Damn it. Han Lang sullenly gritted his teeth and let out another mouthful of blood, finally breathing a lot easier. Until this time, Ning Yuancheng, who had been hiding in the building boat to watch the battle, finally reacted, got up in a panic, pinched the Lingzhu with trembling hands. The exquisite building boat hummed, turned in one direction, and was about to get out of here quickly. Even Luigi was killed at the hands of Han Lang. How could Ningyuan City have the courage to continue to stay? At the moment, I just want to escape as far as possible. But how could Han Lang allow him to do this? As soon as the boat moved, Han Lang let out a cold snort, stood up with his strength, and then disappeared in place again. Immediately afterwards, the many silver moons that had been dimming suddenly brightened for a moment, and there was a loud buzzing, and once again gathered a terrifying beam of moonlight, which bombarded the building boat. Han Lang obviously wanted to kill them all, otherwise if today's incident spread, Feixiong Palace would never let him go. The light beam of Yuehua was like lightning, and it hit the protective cover of the building at once. The huge force knocked the small building to the side. On the ground. Sting la la, an ear-piercing sound sounded, and the strong corrosive power contained in the Yuehua beam was constantly wearing down the power of the protective cover of the building, and Han Lang also showed a little figure at this moment. He was actually hidden in the Yuehua beam. The long sword in his hand was shining brightly, and combined with the power of the formation, he wanted to break through the defense of the building in one fell swoop. Han, Senior Han, why do you want to kill them all? You let me go, I will pretend that what happened today has never happened. Although Ningyuan City has the cultivation base of the 3rd level of the Void King, Han Lang is like a tiger attacking like descending from a mountain. He lost his position for a moment, opened his mouth to beg for mercy, and did not expect to fight hard at all. Han Lang didn't say a word, his eyes became more and more ruthless. Ning Yuancheng was frightened out of his wits and begged for mercy even harder. Click. The crisp sound, like the death knell of death, came to Ning Yuancheng's ears, making his face turn pale suddenly. His eyes were concentrated, and he immediately saw the scene that made him frightened. The protective cover of the building had been cracked, a gap has been opened, and it seems that it will not be able to support it. Kachacha. The crack was getting bigger and bigger, and more cracks appeared around it. Soon, many cracks intertwined like spider webs, faintly looking like they couldn't support it. In the end, with Han Lang's shout, the protective cover of the building finally fell apart, and at the same time, the many silver moons covering this small world also disappeared. Fanyu Jodian's large array, after exhausting the last bit of energy, automatically broke down. The beam of moonlight faded away, while Han Lang, wrapped in the light of the sword, shot towards Ning Yuancheng fiercely, and the long sword in his hand was only retracted bit by bit, and the man appeared not far behind Ning Yuancheng. When Ning Yuancheng's life was threatened, it seemed that he instinctively took a defensive action, but that was all. After a while, a bright red color appeared on Ning Yuancheng's forehead, and the whole person fell on his back, hitting the deck of the building ship, making a sound of hitting the ground. After the secret treasure of the building boat belonging to Feixiong Palace was uncontrolled, it also fell from the sky spinning around, and finally fell to the ground, splashing a cloud of dust. Not far away, Yang Kai, who hid his figure and watched the battle from beginning to end, looked indifferent, squinting his eyes to search for Han Lang's figure. This guy single-handedly wiped out so many fighters in Feixiong Palace. Although he borrowed the power of the formation, his own strength must not be underestimated. However, after experiencing such a big battle, he must be very tired, and maybe even half of his usual combat power cannot be displayed. Yang Kai felt that if he made a move now, he basically had a 90% chance of succeeding. This is a typical snipe and clam fighting for the fisherman's benefit. However, the only thing Yang Kai was afraid of was that Han Lang mustn't hide any trump card, or like those Luigi to come up with a self-explosive secret treasure. If this is the case, then he will have to peel off his skin if he doesn't die. While Yang Kai's mind was changing, Han Lang had already appeared from the building in front of him. He seemed to have searched through Ning Yuancheng's corpse, holding a space ring in his hand. After a while, the palm of his hand with a flash of light, a round bowl-like thing appeared. He weighed it lightly, showing a satisfied smile, and put the round bowl back into the space ring. Seeing this, Yang Kai immediately understood that the purpose of his trip was the same as his own. They were all here for Lu Yan, and Lu Yan was sealed in that round bowl. After doing all this, Han Lang did not leave immediately, but suddenly raised his eyes, looked at Yang Kai's direction sharply, and said coldly, "Boy, after watching for so long, look, is it enjoyable?" Yang Kai frowned, but did not reveal his figure immediately. Seeing this, Han Lang sneered, and continued, "Why? Is it possible for Han to invite you out in person?" While speaking, the long sword in his hand was already flickering slightly. Yang Kai finally showed a hint of surprise on his face, knowing that the other party is not playing tricks but really knows his existence. He simply didn't hide anymore, but dissipated the secret art of nothingness generously, revealing his figure. Han Lang raised his brows, and blurted out praise. "What a brilliant way to hide, it's interesting." Yang Kai looked at him, grinned and said, "Senior Han has won the prize. No matter how brilliant the concealment method is, you have seen through it, but I don't quite understand, how can Senior Han see through it? It seems that you are very confident in your own concealment technique." Han Lang looked Yang Kai up and down. It seems that because Yang Kai only has a cultivation base of Void King 3rd level, so he doesn't mean to be nervous at all. But Dalala said, "With my ability, there is really no way to see through, but if you are surrounded by the Fanyu Zhou Tianju formation, then the situation is different." Yang Kai came to a sudden, nodded and said, "So that's the case." Han Lang looked at Yang Kai indifferently, and said lightly, "Why, you hid here, do you want to do something after the mantis catches the cicada or the oriole?" Yang Kai chuckled, and said without hesitation, "I have this idea, but if Senior Han can give me the round bowl, one can leave immediately." "You want the fire weapon spirit?" Han Lang's expression sank, as if he had thought of something. He nodded and said, "So you also bid at the auction?" "Yes, but it's a pity that the financial resources are not as good as people's, so I can only think of other ways." "Just because you want to grab something from Han. Do you know how to write dead?" Han Lang smiled contemptuously. "Since I dare to come, I'm naturally relying on it. Senior Han has just had a big battle, and the consumption is huge. It's not a wise decision to be my enemy at this time." Listening to Yang Kai talking leisurely, the corners of Han Lang's eyes couldn't help twitching. A Void King 3rd layer, what qualifications does he have to dare to be so presumptuous in front of him? But as the other party said, since he dared to come, he must have a reliance. This reliance will definitely make him not afraid of himself. Thinking of this, Han Lang's heart sank. Now he doesn't want to fight another battle. Although the injuries he suffered before are not fatal, they are not serious. Most importantly, there is not much energy left in his body. Okay, it's been a long time since no one dared to be so presumptuous in front of Han. Boy, I remember you, I hope you can live long enough. Han Lang looked at Yang Kai for a moment, and suddenly said with a sneer. Words without thinking. Yang Kai raised the corner of his mouth and said with a smile, "Senior Han, it's best not to run away immediately. Unfortunately, I am very good at escaping and tracking. You are afraid, you won't be able to escape." While speaking, Yang Kai's body's space power fluctuated, and his figure suddenly disappeared in place. The next moment, he appeared on the other side of Han Lang, as if he had been standing there all along. Because Han Lang was well informed, he couldn't help being startled at this moment, and said in a horrified voice, "What kind of movement technique is this? Such a mysterious and inexplicable movement speed is not as good as even his own." It seems that what he said just now, that he is very good at escaping and tracking, is not false. Tired of coping? Han Lang's face suddenly darkened. Yang Kai opened his mouth, and when he was about to say something again, his eyes suddenly widened, and he stared at Han Lang's back in disbelief, as if he had seen a ghost in the daytime, and immediately shouted, "Be careful behind your back." Han Lang couldn't help sneering. You dare to play tricks in front of Han? He thought that Yang Kai was deliberately diverting his attention, and then made a sneak attack. How could he, a battle-hardened martial artist, be fooled by such a naive trick that even a child could not fool? If he really believed Yang Kai's words and looked behind him, Han Leng was sure that he would be attacked by Yang Kai in the next moment. But as soon as his words came out, he felt something was wrong. There seemed to be some strange movement behind him. Han Leng's heart was agitated, and he quickly activated his own protective power to protect the surroundings of his body. At the same time, he would float forward with a touch of his feet. But no matter how fast he moved, it was already too late. On his back, an extremely sharp, blue-colored spike trembled slightly, and poked forward. The spikes were so fast that even the space seemed to be exploded, forming a layer of ripples visible to the naked eye. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Chapter 2039 Goodbye Wooden Mandrill. Han Leng's protective power couldn't stop the spike at all, and it was pierced directly. Then, a small hole appeared on his forehead. The spike pierced his entire head, showing its strength. Han Leng's strength is also strong, and he did not die immediately after receiving this fatal injury. Instead, he turned his head in shock, and after seeing who was attacking him, he exclaimed in shock, "Why is it you? This is impossible." He originally thought that Luigi, who had the same strength as him, was attacking him from behind. After all, after the last blow just now, Luigi disappeared completely. Judging from the situation at the time, Luigi was either already shattered to pieces, or took the opportunity to hide. After Han Leng was attacked, he thought that Luigi disappeared because of the latter reason. But when he saw clearly who was attacking him, he realized that he was wrong. The sneak attacker who stood behind him and smiled at him was not Luigi at all, but Ning Yuancheng, who was killed by him himself. Such a scene made him unbelievable anyway. Ningyuan City only had the 3rd level cultivation of the Void King, and he stabbed him to death with a long sword, and when searching Ning Yuancheng's body just now, Han Leng had already confirmed the other party death. How can the dead be brought back to life? However, when Han Leng noticed the distinctive features of Ningyuan City, he suddenly seemed to understand something, and murmured, "It's like this." As soon as the words fell, he tilted his head and died. At the same time, Yang Kai, who was not far away, only felt his scalp numb, and his whole body broke out in cold sweat. Looking forward, he exclaimed, "Wood Mandrill." From the angle he was standing on, he could almost see clearly what happened just now. While he was talking to Han Leng, Ning Yuancheng, who was supposed to die and couldn't die anymore, stood up strangely and silently, opened his mouth, and shot out a blue wooden thorn from the mouth, so easily it pierced into Han Leng's head. The reason why Han Leng was easily attacked was because his strength was greatly reduced after the battle, and part of the reason was because of Yang Kai's shout. Han Leng mistakenly thought that Yang Kai was defrauding him, so he didn't expect that there was a deadly danger coming from behind, and it was too late when he realized it. How could the warrior's mouth spit out that blue wooden thorn? This kind of thing is very similar to some things that Yang Kai saw in the 5-color pagoda and Fenggalan City before, so he recognized it immediately. This is obviously the ancient wooden mandrill that caused chaos in Fenggalan City before. On that day, the wooden mandrill brought disaster to Fenggalan City, and the 6 great emperors personally took action. Thousands of warriors died in Fenggalan City. Peace of mind is. Looking at it now, this is obviously a way for the city lord's mansion to appease everyone. The wooden mandrill has not been completely wiped out at all, and there are still some weird wood species stored on some warriors. It's just that this time the deposit was so concealed that not only the 6 great emperors couldn't detect it, but even Ning Yuancheng himself and Luigi, who had been guarding him all the time, didn't notice it. If it weren't for the sudden death of Ningyuan City this time, the wood species would never have been exposed. With the death of the host, there is no need for the wood species to hide anymore. All are coincidences. In the flash of Yang Kai's heart, he had already figured out the whole story of the matter, and his heart sank. In those few days in Fenggalan City, he also participated in the hunting of the wooden mandrill avatar, and he knew that this thing was difficult to deal with and difficult to destroy. Moreover, at that time, a dozen or even dozens of people joined forces, and it was still unavoidable. Injury, but now he is the only one. Just as his mind was changing, there was a strange gurgling sound from the entrance of Ningyuan City, and with this sound, Han Leng's body shriveled up quickly. This is one of the strange abilities of the wood mandrill, which can quickly devour the flesh and blood essence of living beings, thereby strengthening itself. Ning Yuancheng originally only exuded the power fluctuations of the Void King's third-layer realm, but as he continued to devour Han Lang's flesh and blood essence, the aura rose steadily, and soon broke through to the peak of the Void King's third-layer realm, and then reached the peak of the Void King's third-layer realm. The level of Daoyuanjing. Yang Kai couldn't help shrinking his eyes, knowing that it would be too late if he didn't make a move. He couldn't help shouting, "Don't think about it." While speaking, a burning flaming long sword suddenly appeared in his hand. It was the energy body condensed by his sword energy of fire that could not extinguish the sword energy of the 5 elements. With a sway of his figure, he activated the power of space, bullied Ning Yuancheng, swung his sword and slashed downwards. With a bang, the air became extremely hot. The wood mandrill is an existence of the wood attribute, and the power of the fire element is its nemesis. Mo Shaoqi once told Yang Kai about this, and Yang Kai also verified it many times when he wiped out the wood mandrill clone in Fenggalan City in those few days. To deal with the mudrill clone, the power of fire is more effective than the power of space. This sword directly took Ning Yuancheng's head. If it hit him, it would definitely break him in two. But how could the mudrill avatar allow Yang Kai to succeed easily? Ning Yuancheng's mouth was wide open, and the blue spikes in his mouth still pierced through Han Lang's head, constantly devouring his flesh and blood essence, but there was a flash of light in his eyes, sweeping out with both arms, in a burst of crackling and twisting, suddenly turned into 2 thick and long vines, like a dragon going out to sea. One swept towards Yang Kai, and the other stood in front of him for protection. Chi chi chi. When the fire sword cut it, one of the vines had a big cut, but it couldn't be cut off completely. Under the pain, Ning Yuancheng let out a strange sound from his mouth. At the same time, another vine has swept in front of Yang Kai. Yang Kai shrank his eyes, not daring to stay where he was, and immediately disappeared into the air with a flicker. The vine was emptied at once. On the other vine that was cut by Yang Kai, the flame was burning, but after a flash of blue light, the flame was extinguished, and the vine that was about to break was restored to its original state. How come? Yang Kai reappeared and was taken aback. In Fenggalan City that day, several mudrill clones died in his hands. Although these mudrill clones had extremely tenacious vitality and were difficult to kill, there had never been a single mudrill clone like the one in front of him. One so tough and strong. Yang Kai didn't hold back the blow just now. Logically speaking, he should have chopped off the other party's vines and dealt heavy damage to the other party. But now the wooden mandrill clone was unscathed. This abnormal discovery made Yang Kai feel a little vigilant, vaguely feeling that the wooden mandrill clone in front of him might be unusual. And just at this moment when Yang Kai's shot was fruitless, Han Lang's whole body was sucked into a human body, and Ning Yuancheng retracted the wooden thorn in his mouth, showing a satisfied expression on his distorted face. Daoyuan first level. Yang Kai felt the aura emanating from Ning Yuancheng, and his face suddenly turned cold. On the opposite side, Ning Yuancheng looked at Yang Kai resentfully, as if he was blaming him for ruining his good deed. Under the shock of his body, the clothes on his body were shaken into countless pieces and scattered in all directions, and from his abdomen, chest cavity, and thighs, blue vines suddenly emerged. The tops of those vines were extremely sharp, comparable to the most sharp sword. In an instant, Ning Yuancheng changed drastically. How can he still have a human figure at this moment? It is just a wooden mandrill. Only on the part of the tree trunk, there are traces of Ningyuan City's facial features, and the countless vines are flying around, like poisonous snakes, which makes people feel creepy. Part of the flying vines stabbed towards Yang Kai, like a magic whip falling from the sky, making people terrified, while the other part swept around, rolling up the corpses of those dead Feixiang Palace disciples one by one. Standing up, piercing the spikes at the top into their bodies, devouring their flesh and blood essence. The sound of swallowing something was heard, and the corpses of many warriors shriveled at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wishful thinking. Seeing this, Yang Kai couldn't help but stern, and the sword energy of fire condensed in his hand, and he waved his hand away. Chi 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 chi. There was a sound of piercing through the air, and the scorching fire sword energy precisely penetrated the corpses of Feixiang Palace disciples, and the boundless heat burned these corpses in an instant. The wooden mandrill avatar of the Dao origin realm is already difficult enough. How can Yang Kai give it a chance to continue to strengthen its strength? Seeing this situation, the mudrill avatar suddenly turned around and faced Yang Kai. On the tree trunk, among the 5 sense organs belonging to Ningyuan City, there was a piercing and sharp cry, as if extremely angry. Immediately, its body swung, countless wood whiskers grow from the roots, which drill down like earthworms and take root. Then, with a flick of the wooden mandrel's clone, countless vines rushed towards Yongkai like arrows. Yongkai grinned, and after using the power of space to avoid the blow, he waved his hand and released the monster worm mother and the Qingyan shocking thunder jackal. Fuck it, Yang yelled, and with a flicker he threw himself in front of the wooden mandrel. The flaming longsword in his hand condensed a billowing heat wave, and slashed down like a mountain. At the same time, the purple and blue swords in the hands of the monster worm's mother waved into two colors of intersecting light, and the icy mood permeated and snowflakes fell in the sky one after another. The snow is as clear as the sky. The snowflakes swirled and fell slowly, but each snowflake was as sharp as a knife, and when it fell on the vines of the wooden mandrel, small wounds appeared on the vines, and green liquid flowed out from the wounds. The icy mood invaded the inside of the vine along the wound, which greatly hindered the vine's self-healing ability. The monster worm mother body took the opportunity to bully her body, and her two swords came out together, coordinating with Yongkai's movements, cutting in all directions. But Qingyan Jinglei Jackal hid in the distance, opened and closed his mouth, and balls of blue flames blasted desperately towards the wooden mandrel, making a colliding and cracking sound. For a moment, Yongkai teamed up with the two blood beasts, and suppressed the Mudrill avatar without any power to fight back, and could only be beaten passively. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation.